Here we are. And hello, everybody. Welcome back to Beyond the Box. And we're also streaming with Yesel Productions, Yesel Missile Productions, Steve. And we've got Chad with us tonight. So I hope everybody's doing all right. How are we?
Wonderful.
Good.
Doing great.
Happy to be here. Grateful to be given this opportunity.
Well, yes, I'm excited to see what we're going to get ourselves into today. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Steve and Chad for a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and get this started. Hi, Jason. Hi, Brent. Go ahead, Steve.
All right. Well, we're here today to give an update on our interactions throughout the past nearly 3 years. I can't believe it's been that long. But the past 3 years with the individual known as Tom Althouse. And I was interviewing him on my channel. We had 22 interviews that we conducted over those 2.5 years that I spoke with him. He cut me off for the 23rd one in the middle of me trying to make him aware of who Penny Ellie Shepherd really was. Brenda and SUZY went and shared a lot of information off of what Penny left behind on SUZY's ranch, because she was living there for nearly 7 years. Yeah. So I tried to relay this information to Tom, and Tom wasn't having any of it. One day he wanted to actually join and go backstage and listen to what Brenda and SUZY had to say. That same day he canceled, and I think it was because Penny went and talked to him and said, no, don't do anything with Brenda and SUZY. And so we never had that opportunity to have the four of us, Brenda, SUZY, myself, and Tom.
She told me. I have to validate that. It's true. Yeah. It's true what you said. She did do that because she told me she called everybody and got them to side up with her. Yes. So you're right.
Yeah. So this isn't any conjecture. This is stuff that's actually happening. There's division happening within whatever, if you want to call this a YouTube community. They're more, I don't know what they're doing, but she has like 20 different guests on her show all the time. So it's like a honeypot for like, so handlers, like ideal situation, I guess, where they have full control. They want to have all like these certain people under their belt, making sure that they're not straying too far off the reservation, so to speak. And it's unfortunate because, I mean, we're all here as people getting to the truth of things. And here there's people muddying the waters. So I gave Tom about, 5 months to contact me after he cut things off. And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't contact me. So I ended up going and starting a series on my YouTube channel called Let's Talk About It. And that was for me to decompress and get my ideas and thoughts out there for when I was, or what I was going through with rebuilding my channel and steering away from the Tom Althouse content because he clearly didn't want anything to do with me anymore. And it's weird because he invited me to his house to film his documentary. When I showed up with all my film equipment, he said, no, let's not do that anymore. You know, I flew a plane. I had to check in extra luggage for like $80. Like, this was a thing that I spent a lot of money, 4 figures I spent on this fucking trip. And so he's just going like, oh, the whole time. He was just, I don't know what you would call it, just a lot of groveling. Like, he wouldn't want to get to that next level. He didn't want to have a documentary made, even though he talks about it all the time. He's always having people drop off, he says. They got compromised, blah, blah, blah. Like, we've heard this so many times from this dude. But I was given the comparison that, like, he's at that end of Act 2, right before Act 3, in his personal story. And instead of moving into Act 3, he tries to back it back up to the middle of Act 2. Oh, we're almost on the precipice. It's time to celebrate. He had me do a book. He's like, we're gonna write a book. You're gonna transcribe my thoughts. I'm there with a notepad transcribing his very slow talking. And we do this for like 2-3 hours. And then that's it for the day. He goes upstairs and watches Netflix. He comes downstairs, makes us food, brings the food up to Aiden. We didn't even eat together with Aiden. So a lot of this stuff was going on. He was running shows on Penny's channel the whole time I was visiting him. You'd think like he'd block off all the time so we would get work done, right? No, he needs to do a show on Penny's show in the morning, in the afternoon, and at night. He was doing 3 shows with Penny at one point per day. And where's the time for us to do the work for the documentary? It was non-existent. He wanted me to build him a garden. I dug out a section on the side of his house. He wanted it relocated to the fence. Oh, don't worry about it, Steve. I'll do it myself. Goes and resods the whole place that I just dug up. Found a big chunk of concrete in there that I was getting ready to pull out. Spent a few hours on that. That whole garden's dead now, apparently, because one of the last times I talked with him, that second garden that he started, everything died. He's like, oh no, it's dead. Like that was his whole answer to it. Not like, oh, I was able to harvest this and I'm so happy with this plant and this plant. No, just it's dead. Like matter of fact, and like not surprised. But these are traits of narcissists. So
They are, and I'm going to tell you right now, as a plant daddy, I'm offended.
I am too.
Yeah.
I have a
Just
Thai
a
chili
bit.
plant in my house that's been growing for the past 13 months.
Oh yeah, we treat our gardens and everything like gold. And that says something about his character right there, and that's what I'd like to get into myself after I introduce myself to everyone. So I'm not honored to be here, and I'm grateful for being given this opportunity, because I used to have a platform with Veronica Bartolini, and I was co-hosting with her, and things were going well. But I would like to introduce myself before that, because I want to tell this in chronological order so that I'm not really going all over the place. And it kind of starts with COVID, because I was sort of in a hairy situation. I was helping a friend out in Vegas who needed it. And I flew down there and moved them out of a mansion into like a retirement home and 5 storage units. And by myself. In about 3 days, and then they turned on me. So then I had to get myself out of there. And while this was going on, and I had all this distractions going on, I kept hearing, because I'm always an investigative mind, and this is just taking you back to a time period, because I just want to slow this down and get sort of like the perspective, because we've had a flood of things happen since then, COVID. And I kept hearing this thing about Tom Hanks this, something's up with Tom Hanks. And I'm like, he's not really alive. Is he a clone? Is this CGI? Something, there was a lot of things. There was a channel, and I was just like, what is going on, man? Like, I remember there was a rush of information that came in after 9/11, and I personally watched the towers fall from the Williamsburg Bridge. And, a flood of information came in after that, and it's just mind-boggling. Well, same with COVID, it was like, who's this Tom Hanks and what's going on? Well, after I got out of that situation, I was able to look into it a little bit, and that's when I started to discover Veronica Bartolini, and I was exploring, certain things that happened to me in the background, and trying to make connections. And at the time, she resonated with me, so I watched her, investigated Tom Hanks. Through investigating Tom Hanks, Tom Althouse came up in a search, checked it out out of curiosity, got connected with Veronica, because she was having it out with Michael Jaco, and she personally confronted him and accused him of being an agent, like online. And I said, okay, this is my girl, because I don't really care for the dude, and I can't explain why. And I don't naturally have that intuition. I naturally see people as beautiful. I don't care who they are. I naturally, what they view themselves as. I naturally see people as being good people, no matter how mean they may be. You know what I mean? I don't hate or anything. But with him, I was repulsed. And it was just, he looked ugly. It just, nothing about him appealed to me. I couldn't listen to him. I tried, I struggled. And then I just finally figured out there's something here I'm not meant to be hearing. My inner guidance guided me away. We used to live an hour away from each other until he moved. So when I saw Veronica, confronting him, I thought, okay, this girl's got some gusto. And we got connected. And soon I was co-hosting with her. And I just had mentioned I was doing and following research into Tom Althouse. So she reached out and contacted and booked an interview with him. And I was floored. So we went ahead and had 20 interviews with him. And it was as convoluted as Steve just expressed, and we tried to make sense of it. And I would watch Steve, and I would watch Steve's videos before I interviewed Tom, and
vice versa. I would watch Veronica's channel too.
That way I could, I'd watch it like 5 times over, because that's how many times I'd have to watch it over just to catch what the man was saying. Stop, read, listen, try and follow it, because for me, words have to connect. And I felt like that I forget who they are, the ones that do the typing in court. I felt like that lady in that show you were showing the other night, Steve, on your program. And so that was taking the deposition for Tom. It's just, it's really hard to connect the information. I was extremely excited in like Steve's 3rd episode when he says, let's make chronological order of all of this, and let's do that on our next episode. And then it didn't happen. And I'm like, really? What happened? Well, there's an explanation for that, as I know. There is no chronological order, because if you put it too much in chronological order, you start to see the holes. So you have to kind of break it up and scatter it around. And that's what Tom is really good about, talking in loops and talking in circles. He has no finish to this. He's had many opportunities to do a documentary. He tried to do that through me. No, I tried to volunteer myself to Tom, because after he said that, what's the name of the group that was doing his documentary before? I think it's called Anonymous.
Yeah, the Q group. Yeah.
Oh, the Q group. Yeah, they were doing his documentary, and they dropped it all of a sudden, and they didn't say anything about it. And I said, well, you know what? If they dropped it, doesn't that open it up to everybody? Can us amateurs step in there? Us guys in the garage, we're creative. I said, I'm a songwriter. I write scripts. This is something that I can throw myself at. So anyways, not a director, though. I will point that out. More of a writer. And he said, yes, that's an awesome idea. Let's go forward with it. So I was making plans to go to Montana. I had money coming in because I was abused at work, and I wasn't paid for a long time. And so they'd taken a lot of money from me, and I went to the state. And anyways, I ended up getting my money back in some ways. So I was going to use it towards that. And while I was planning everything, I just kept expecting more information to come forward from Tom, and nothing ever would. I kept suggesting that I needed some sort of document so I didn't have to do all the research, for this, and I can start piecing it together. And I'd come forward with him with an outline. He says, I love it. Okay, goodbye. And that was the end of the phone conversation and stuff like that. And then I would say, okay, are you available for this week, in August to go to Montana? Yes, totally. I'm all there for you, so he was all for it. And then meanwhile, here's Steve doing the same project, but ahead of me. And so he's down in Texas, and Tom's all excited about the documentary. I'm all excited about his documentary, because to me, everybody has their own perspective, and his story is just going to get told in 2 different ways and heard even in a more fuller, fashion. So I was like, okay, he had a good experience with Tom, but something was off after that, I noticed. And pardon me 1 second, y'all. I get nervous, and it's been a little while when I'm talking. about personal things.
No, it's all good. You're
So
also
my fight and
sharing
flight
this for like the
kicks in, and
first.
this seems to end my fight and flight, because why do you drink water when you're
Yeah.
Yeah, it really.
interrupts my, because I get a little shaky. But go ahead, Steve. Yeah.
I was gonna say the whole concept of trying to put everything with Tom into a timeline was near impossible.
Okay. Because I
In the
think
way,
there's holes in it. And so there
yeah,
is no timeline. Like you'd start to see there's gaps or things that don't make sense, or maybe there's fabric, things are being stretched or bent, to fit into this scenario that he's trying to create. And it has no finish. And that's what I want to get to, because he rudely talked about how Steve behaved at his house during this time after the situation was done. But before that, he was all positive about it. So then he flipped. Okay, so this isn't one of his traits. He does, he'll flip on you. And I saw this, I saw this happening, and it floored me. So I thought, okay, if this is happening to them, it can happen to me. So I backed away and I just watched everything, and that's what I did for a while. And then finally Tom and I did have a confrontation, and I'll get into that when it's appropriate. But I don't believe he has a finish to this, because why was he asking Steve, who's a director and film and has all the equipment to write his book, and he's asking me, a writer who has no equipment, bare minimum, to do his documentary? It's kind of like he doesn't really ever want to get these things finished, because he can't. There is no ending to this. All he has is this, what is it called, a grift, or this
yeah. He told me himself he wanted to go to her and talk to audiences about this whole thing. He had this whole, like, the thing is, he has like maybe an hour or two worth of presentation. You get past that, and you start seeing the fumbling, the talking in circles, going back and repeating shit that he'd say an hour earlier, and he would not get to the point. He would be making fun of everyone too.
With an exception, you're absolutely right. Except when he's got a new person or he needs new information, then miraculously something gets added into his story, that
the new
stuff
is
forward again. And it's always the same, now the agents are on our sides. They finally switched over, everybody. I'm over it. I'm unsusceptible to flattery or criticism, unfortunately, so with his tactics, it didn't work with me, telling me I'm extremely intelligent or whatever it is. It's almost insulting to have somebody do that.
Yeah, when I was hearing him say that to other people on the phone while I was at his house, I'm like, dude, you used the same line on me.
It was
like
obvious.
this.
And, Veronica even pointed that out. She says, Chad, he's clearly acting in a lot of scenes. She says, I've taken acting classes before, and you can see where he's acting. I said, you know what? He's told this story a million times. He probably has to keep it going, and you can't just be flat. So if he's a performer, he's just going to sell it. And we went along with it. Then she says, he's maybe an agent. I said, I detect that too. And she says, because he's definitely got some kind of training or something going on. I said, well, he admits to that. He said he was trained to be, he was hand groomed or whatever. So, by the FBI and blah, blah, blah. And, he's clearly down with the art of war, because those are his tactics. They're not mine. I'm an empathetic person. Okay. And I'm altruistic, and I'll discuss with everybody, if I can just take a moment here, what that really looks like. Because it's not a goody two shoes. I'll take your head right off your shoulders if I need to. And that's in a defense or protecting somebody. And I'm being serious. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not, but I strive to be right, because I don't want to cheat myself in life. What would Jesus do? That sort of thing, in every situation. So, and I'm an empath, which means I feel everybody's feelings. And that's not always pleasant to do. Let me tell you, it can be quite overbearing, and I don't do well in audiences or in large crowds. And I used to hide, as a matter of fact, as a child during school assemblies, in the bathroom stalls and in the library during them because I could not handle that much energy at once. And I would collapse in the hallways in between classes because everybody was walking and passing, and I had to hold on to railways or the railings for the stairs and stuff because my legs would go weak and stuff. You know, I was that guy. So empathic. Now, Tom claims to be empathic and he claims to be altruistic, but he wears it. He is none of those things.
He's a
Somebody
wolf in
who's
sheep's clothing.
altruistic would never do what he did to you, Steve, especially after everything that went into it. Not even reach out to you. Not even reach out to you and have the decency to say, hey, man, I'm so sorry. I was PMSing, you know, menopause. I didn't know what, you know, whatever it was that he was going through in that moment. I was hungover. You know, I don't care what it was. It was clearly he was having some sort of issue. And I think it was you were asking too many questions and getting to, you know.
It was also me telling him about Penny.
Yeah.
So I want to share something a little here. That day that I was supposed to do part 23 of the interviews with him, when he said that, no, we're not doing it any longer, after he like gave me 10 minutes to get back to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought he had the link for Zoom. I'm sitting in there in the Zoom client waiting for him to show up. 5 minutes go by. I look at my phone and he's texted me twice already. And so he texts me again while I'm texting him saying like I'm moving on to other things. And I'm like, wait, like I got the link. I'm sending you the link now. And so I sent him an email with just the link in it. No header, footer, like best wishes. I just sent him the link. Like, here it is. He took offense to that. But I didn't know about that until after I started a stream anyway on my channel, where I just titled it Saturday Stream. And I started talking about like, oh, you know, Tom couldn't make it today. Like I was covering for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
He texts me and he's like, I can't believe you went live. I'm like, hold on. I thought you had other things to do and you're spying on my channel here. Like, what's this about? Like, you have other things to do. You can't interview with me, but you can watch my show. Give me a break. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stop the stream. And then it was only like 15 minutes. And now that's in my playlist of all the Althouse interviews. That happened before I did the part 23 without Tom Althouse show, where I went and I showed all of the text messages because I screenshotted everything in the moment. And I pulled up all the emails that he sent after the fact, which was ridiculous what he was trying to accuse me of. And he went into it about like, how I can't believe you did this and blah, 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 blah. And I just couldn't get over the fact that he just switched. Like, I don't know what the hell happened.
Flipped.
Yeah.
Like
now,
the mayor on The Nightmare Before Christmas, you know, he's got that angry face and then he's got that happy face, you know, and that's kind of like the way he presents himself, you know, one or the other. And this empathy, okay, this is not, you don't go around finding people's weaknesses when you got empathy. You just feel things, you know, you don't predatorize and do things like he's weakness identifying, not feeling out things. He's got that confused, you know, with empathy.
He was baiting me too. Like he sent me texts as like a, let's see if he'll respond to me saying I'm leaving type of thing. Like, you don't do that shit with other guys. Like, the stuff that he was trying to pull was like stuff that like my exes would do, where they'd be like, fine, don't talk to me. And then if I reply back, I'm like, oh, I knew you were reading everything. Like that type of shit. But with a 60-year-old man and a 30-year-old, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, Tom?
Yeah. Do you remember I sent you the text correspondence between me and Tom when he called me after, you know, Veronica got a hold of him? And do we want to get into that right away? I don't know.
You can go ahead.
You know, I'll build up to that a little bit. But
I mean, I started the Let's Talk series, like back in April or something. And about 3 to 4 episodes in, I think Chad shared the show to Veronica. And then Veronica got Tom back on her show. And then that's when Tom started like making fun of me on her show. and he showed up like 2 or 3 times on her show. And he was showing like pictures of like, I don't know, like the claymation musicals, making fun of me with my hat from the 1920s because I was doing the shows with that. And it's just like,
what is altruistic about that?
he was straight up making fun, being a bully, laughing about it, just yucking it up.
Not very empathetic.
And minimizing me too. Look at this anonymous D-list player that thinks that he could have done everything. Like,
and who was I? Jack Frost. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he made fun of both of us on that show. Yeah, that's right. It's just so petty.
I get it. I was a little bit rigid. I will say, I don't know that I was frigid, because if I was frigid, I would have been icy. Instead, I was just rigid and angry, because from my perspective, I was watching Steve diligently, because what happens? Okay, listen, there's a couple types of people out here. Let's just call it out right now and just paint the picture. You know, there's those that are out here to get the information out. Brenda, Susie, Steven. Then there's those that are trying to get fame, or not even fame, but like they're trying to get to like the conference, you know, trying to get speaking roles and public speaking, you know, they're trying to get something going. And when you're doing that, you're going to come to a crossroad at some point, and you're going to have to make the decision. Do I do it the right way? And do I do things right? The altruistic side of you is going to take the sacrifice, even though you want everything to be successful and your shadow banned as heck. You know, we don't need to talk further into that. You guys all know about that as well. So, because the closer you hit the truth, the more shadow banned you become. And so, or you can do it the right way, or you can chase fame and everything else. And it's almost like you're given the choice. And that is what I felt Veronica had to make her decision. And I felt like she had already made her decision before acting upon it, because I had tried diligently to get her to look into it as well. My perspective is, okay, now I can ignore what's happening to Steve. I'm a Sigmata. I'm a lone wolf. So I don't do alpha. I don't do beta. I don't do the hen picking. I don't go run up and pick on the person that's being hen picked. Or I don't just ignore them because, I want to be popular, and all that kind of stuff. Like too, I was genuinely concerned, because I'm like, okay, if this can happen to Steve, what's to stop it from happening to us? And so that was my concern, but she didn't want to look into that. She had an opinion of Steve and his show, and I'm not sure what it was, but I could feel it, because she would never, ever really watch anything that I sent to her and say, you need to see this, or I even sent her an SOS, and she says, I'm sorry, Chad, I have cancer and I'm trying to heal, and I just don't have time for this drama, and I don't want to look into this and such like that. And then I would ask her, and I would say, okay, I'm going, there's going to be a show with, Brenda and Suzy, you need to watch this. She didn't want to see it because she thought you both were demonically possessed.
Oh, Jesus.
Suzy was a religious possessed by a religious demon, and Brenda was possessed by another demon, and so it was just kind of like, this is coming from a woman who slept with over 300 men in her lifetime, mind you.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
Talk about possessions, and you're sleeping with them in your dreams. Lucifer, come on.
Wow.
And these women are demonically possessed. Grow up. And then she had the audacity to use her cancer and say that she didn't have time for any of this drama. And then she said, you know what, Chad, let's go ahead and do this. Let's get Steve and you and Tom, and we'll all talk it out. You guys just need to get over this. And I said, great, let's do that. That's what we want, because she was reaching out to Tom anyways and telling him everything I was writing to her. So I'm going to do the same, if you don't mind, in a little while, because me and Penny Bradley had a discussion in regards to Veronica Bartolini, and Miss Penny Bradley is the mother of, this conference that they're going to. They want to call her the grandmother, but I wouldn't do that.
We love Penny here.
Oh, good. Okay. Because I have respect for
yes.
Penny,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I love
Penny
Penny.
Bradley.
And so
Yeah.
she's the mother of this program. And so, I respect her perspective and what she says. And, I'll get into that in just a moment. Now, Veronica was given plenty of opportunity to watch SUZY, Brenda, and Steve, and she had many excuses as to why she wouldn't. One was because of the demonic possessions. The other was because, she couldn't handle the stress. She was healing from cancer, yet she wanted to go ahead and arrange a program for us, and then she canceled it. And so I had to call Steve back and say, Steve, sorry, she doesn't want to do it anymore. Then she went forward and did the show with Tom Without Us and got their side of the story and did not include ours, even though that information was available to her, because I sent her plenty of links to these videos and stuff like that, so she could be privy of what was going on both sides. But she had a decision to make, and it was to go the successful way or to keep the honest and authentic way. She made the decision. It was time. She wanted to push her book out there, and she told me I had until April 15th. And then all of a sudden she says, nope, I want to do it in March. And I was moving. I had to pack everything up and travel. I got here. I didn't even have things unpacked. She occupied 4 days of my time that I needed to be spent. And I had a week coming ahead of me that I was planning to work on this book and get everything done. And then she was upset because she was just in that mode. I need to get it done now. And then it was like, let's publish it. And I said, okay, but I'm putting an alias on there and nobody's going to know it's me, because this is not up to my standards, or quality level. You don't just send a book in that's not even been edited. I mean, it was just what it was. And then, and she admits in this book, or in a book that's going to be coming up, about the 300 partners, that she had slept with and her lifetime. So that was basically what was going on there in the time with Veronica and I. And we had the book released. That was going to escalate her popularity, because now she had to promote the book. She wanted to be on Brian to Sing's good side so she can get into the conference. I warned her about Penny Scheffner so many times, and again, she would not look into her. I warned her, and I even gave her your guys' programs, and said, you need to watch this so you can form your own
opinions on her. Yeah,
exactly, or more accurate one. And she would not watch. But what did she do straight after that? She got interviews with Penny, Tom, Brian to Sing. She got personally invited to the space program. Somebody's paying her way to it. She's got exclusive interviews with Tom Althouse once a week on Wednesdays, and she's done 2 of them in how many weeks, Steve? 10?
Yeah, she took about over 2 months off. She hasn't done anything with him in quite a while. Watch, she'll do something next week.
She's run to her handlers
tomorrow.
She's run to her handlers, and I'll let her go ahead and be in that world for herself, because she made a decision. And this is what I want to say. I'm not hateful. I don't want to bash this woman. I'm just going to talk authentically and let you all come to your own conclusion. And I think, that'll be fair enough. She chose to go that path, and I chose to stick with Steve. And that, of course, separated the two of us. I told her in a rigid way, everything Penny Bradley has said about you, I now see as true.
Steve, we hear you typing.
Sorry.
And
I'm chatting with myself
never, too. And what I told her is, in a rigid way, I now believe what Penny Bradley said is true. And I will never see you in a different way. Like, you chose the dark side, my friend. So,
Yeah.
and it's like in Star Wars, you know, you
Wow.
got your choices, and she made her decision, and you can see that happen. Go back and watch it on her channel.
Changed her appearance and everything.
Wow.
Has she?
Well,
Really?
she's not dyeing her hair blonde anymore.
Oh,
But yeah,
so
I had been invited over to Tom's to do his documentary. Brought all my film equipment. When I got there, he's like, "Let's not do the documentary. Let's write a book." So the 2 weeks I was there, that's all he was doing is like having me transcribe his thoughts. Very disorganized. We had like over 20 notebooks for different chapters of the books. Then he got on a second. I had set him up with John B. Wells. I got John B. Wells' personal phone number and gave it to Tom for him to call. When I was on a trip back in March of 24, I went to North Carolina. He calls me while I'm at the hotel to say that he called John B. Wells, and the first ring, John B. Wells answered. And he was all giddy and excited about it. And I'm like, this is cool shit. Like, you're going to get back on the show. Because he had been on there one time before, and their server got hacked. So Tom's interview was one that got struck. And I'm like, we got to get a new one up for you, Tom. So I helped set all that up. He got on that show the next week. And then the following month was when I was visiting him in Texas. I went to Tom Althouse's house, his home. And I spent nearly 2 weeks there. So while I was there, he had the second interview with John B. Wells for this new timeline. And while he was on the show, John B. Wells asked him, when is this book going to come out? And keep in mind, this was April of 2024. He just blurts out, July. And we had just started writing it. And so I'm sitting there listening to the show going, May, June, July. Holy shit, he wants me to have this done in 3 months. And that's not even taking into consideration all the edits that we'll have to make. And then sending it out to a publisher. And what, worst case scenario, we make an ebook? Like, what? I didn't know what he wanted. And I don't think he knew what he wanted either. Because by the time I was leaving, like the last few days I was there, he's like, I talked with my mother and we need, I think he said either 3 books or 4 books. Like, because I'm forgetting how many, but
Yeah.
he added books to this project. He's like, no. We need to have more books and we need to just keep on rolling them. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if I stayed an extra week. He would have made it into 10 books and made some fucking saga out of it. But like, there's only so much content you could put into this stuff if he's not willing to divulge it. And one of the things we learned last weekend on my show on Let's Talk was that when I was visiting him, he gave me an audio file of his deposition. I think is the one where he said it got swapped out from his fucking coat pocket. Like, I don't know what the truth of it is. He went ahead and recorded his own deposition as trying to make it like he didn't, because he would get in trouble if the truth came out that he did that. So since I was still sitting on this audio file, I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to broadcast it so everybody can hear what happened, because I didn't sit down to listen to the 2.5 hour bullshit for any amount of time. I kind of skimmed through it a little bit once. But what we learned this past Sunday is that he walked out of his own deposition back in 2013, 2014, whenever this took place. He told the interrogator, time's up. I hit my 7-hour mark and I will not be here anymore, and let the court record show the timestamp that I gave you all the time that you requested. And it's against the law for me to be here longer than 7 hours. And the interrogator's like, what the fuck? Like, he didn't say that, but he's like, that's not true. You need to stay here until questioning is finished. And every time this interrogator would ask him questions, he would be like, trying to repeat the question back, but changing words, and then being like, "Oh, I don't think I understand the question. Can you repeat that?" Gaining him more time to bullshit. It's a common tactic that I've seen from other people where they go ahead.
Why? Because he has a personality disorder or a condition. What was it? A special condition?
Yeah, so whenever he starts like tripping up, he says that he has a condition of something related to PTSD, something to do with Pat Robertson and whatever else, and the death of his kids. I don't know, but like after a certain point, you get over that stuff. And he's not going to like me saying this either. And I don't even care if he watches this or not at this point. But the thing is, like, for a functioning adult such as himself, where he could feed himself every day, he knows where he's at, he knows what day it is, he still is caught up in something that's making him just go spastic. I mean, he was talking to himself while he was washing dishes and shit. Like, okay, I gotta get the fork. I gotta go get the plate. Okay. And I repeat that type of like impression because that's what he was doing in front of me. And that's probably why Aiden didn't want to come downstairs and interact with him for a lot of that time. And what happened? So, like, one of my subscribers is asking about what happened with the Roseanne interview. I didn't end up watching that whole show, but I think he said that like he wanted Roseanne to produce the Immortals and he was trying to push that on her. Now he's supposed to do a second show with her. It should have already been done this week. So in the next 3 to 6 weeks, it should be posted on Roseanne's channel, the part 2. But I'm really interested to know what happens when that rolls around. Because everybody that watches that, they're going to search YouTube. They're going to find my channel. They're going to find the Let's Talks. They're going to find this show. So the whole point, like, of us doing this is to really get this, all the bullshit out of the way so that people that are looking for more information on this can see that this guy's running a grift. He had these different hosts. Emma, the Imagination Podcast. That was the first one where he lost his mind over it. I think what happened is he said that to her, like he confessed his love to her, and she got totally freaked out and like brought in this gray individual because he wouldn't stop talking about this other guy. And so they would be like trolling him on Twitter saying, "I love you," back and forth. And he was like, "I can't believe this." Like he'd call me up complaining about it. Like, she said, "I love you," and Gray said, "I love you back." I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, she's like in her 20s. Like, you can't be thinking of like marrying this girl. Like, she's like 40 years younger than you, man. And so like that happened. And then Aquarius Rising Africa, he said that like Chantel called him screaming. He called her a witch. And I'm like, oh shit, the dominoes are starting to fall. And then after I got back from Texas,
and right on radio too, before that, he's gone through quite a few.
Brenda,
yes,
there was this whole fallout between Penny L.A. Shepherd and Brenda and Suzy.
Oh wow,
that was one that Tom didn't want to talk about that with me. He's like, I'm going to stay out of that one. But essentially, he removed himself from Brenda's show too. And here it's like, I'm sitting here like, oh fuck, like when is it going to happen to me? Like I'm next, essentially. And sure enough, within 3 to 4 months, he pulled that shit in October of last year, where he's like, "We're done." It's like the first part of the email is like, "It's okay, don't worry about it, it's all good." And then at the end, it says, "We're done." Like after he sends like 3 or 4 paragraphs about like what he doesn't like about me. It's like, oh my God, man.
Wait a minute. He sent you paragraphs about what he doesn't like about you?
Yeah, he's like, "I can't believe that." Like once I sent the text to you, I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up so that we can go over.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe.
Because I would like to also read what Penny Bradley wrote at some point, so this might be a good time for me to do that as well.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Right now? No, because I can wait for Steve.
Oh, okay.
Either way. Mm-hmm. But I will say, though, that they do say, and I'd like to point out that Penny Shepherd admits publicly to having schizophrenia. Veronica admits publicly to having DID, dissociative identity disorder, and being professionally diagnosed. And now Tom admits to having a condition, and I think he has plenty of them. But so with that being said,
I think all three
Yeah.
together, their condition is like really big.
something's
Head
off,
condition.
and
Something's
it's
off.
bad. It's like a train wreck, and it's like, why empower them? It's almost like.
So I have the email pulled up. So the link, I sent them the Zoom link for that day, October 26th. And then he gets back to me 40 minutes later saying, actually, he sent texts too, where he's like, everything's okay. So I got kind of conflated the two. He was communicating between text and email to me that day. So the email was after all the texts. And he says, very unprofessional, and not even an apology? And saying your subs will be disappointed? This is way too much, Steven, when I trusted you in everything. Think it over, Steven. If you do not see that a no-show at start time without returned messages and then responding after I was saying I was moving on to other things and in a courteous way when I was ghosted, I ask in memory of my sons, we drop it here and I do not have to go through this again. I am sorry you thought you had done nothing wrong. And there's a little more. And that you would spin it back on me, that I would have to drop what I was doing to reset up again and break off from my next task. I am blown away by your behavior here. We are done. And those are Tom's words. And this is all because I'm sitting here waiting for him so we can go live, and he wasn't showing up. Maybe he didn't get the Zoom link, so I sent it to him, and then he's like, this is very unprofessional. Don't.
Wow.
So
I've never
Susie,
heard from
plug
him
your ears.
since.
Susie, plug your ears, and if you listen, I'm talking about kitties, okay? Veronica, super psychonica, pussy bionica, iconica, Veronica. Okay, that was my opening for her because I was a good player. Veronica is dangerous to men. This is from Miss Pitty Bradley, the mother of the space program conference coming up with Brian Sisson.
Okay.
I watched her destroy 5 men in 18 months.
Wow.
And then she told me I could not have them on my show. 3 of those men were married.
Wow.
I know I'm older, soon to be 69 years old, but I don't think men deserve that. As long as she told me my kids are moving out and I can't cover bills without their help. I'm looking for a sugar daddy to help me. I blocked her page and won't willingly contact her again. She says, okay. She bankrupted them, destroyed their lives. They were in love with her. Joe still cries when she is mentioned. As she said, she still knows these men. Men are people too. You can't treat them like toilet paper. I'm a mother of sons. I don't wish her harm. Just want her to leave me alone. She has no idea the harm she left behind.
Dear
And
God.
now she's going to go stay with a married couple here in Montana. They're going to send her on up there because, she's on a show and they're excited because she's cool people. I would be a little nervous if I was that wifey poo. Just saying. All right. Now that is just as much as I'm going to say to the situation with Veronica, because I don't want to be known as Jack Frost. I can I can roast her if I wanted to, but I don't. She just made a decision and we've gone separate ways. Her mommy ain't this and her daddy ain't that. I'm not going to go in all sorts of directions and get ghetto on this. You know, I'm just saying. My last words to Tom was grow up. And I
Yeah.
believe my last words to Veronica was goodbye. So,
Wow.
Keeping it simple.
I have my last words to Tom. I don't even think he read that email. So I replied to that email that he said we are done. And I replied within 10 minutes. I said, Tom, I got back to you after your second text because that was the first I noticed it vibrating. I was waiting in the lobby for you. This is escalation beyond anything appropriate. This hurts badly, knowing you are playing games like anyone else. I don't ghost. I give you 90-minute buffers sometimes, and you blow me off after 5 minutes. I guess you don't think the alphabet groups are trying to put a wedge between us, but it's been done apparently. And I'm not thinking that anymore. I think Tom just ended up doing it himself. I'm not sure what influence got into you, but it isn't good. I trusted you to keep your word and not write me off like a stranger. Best, Steven. And that's the last time I contacted him, and he's never contacted me again.
I can tell you the last time I talked to Tom, after all this stuff with Penny, I still had Tom. I think I still do have Tom on my Facebook. And I had sent him a message and asked him, hi, how are you doing? And he said, I'm doing great. I'm getting ready to go on Roseanne next week. And I said, oh, good job. I said, well, I hope you have a good trip. And he said, well, thank you. And that was it. Never heard anything from him again. I think I even messaged him on his birthday and told him happy birthday. But nothing. I didn't have any problem with Tom when all this stuff happened with Penny. And I did, honestly, I understood why he went with Penny and just walked away from our show, because Penny's the one who brought him onto our show. I didn't even know really who he was.
And she has a bigger platform.
Yeah, and I asked her, when she went to bring him on, Brian Singh, I'm like, who are all these people? And she just brought him over. So I kind of understood, and then she said that Brian Singh was still going to stick around and help with the show, help with guests. I think Brian came on the show one time since Penny walked away, and that was when he brought Rocco onto our show for the first time. And after that, never heard from him again. These people are still on my Facebook, and that's fine. I don't say anything to them or harass them in any way. When Brian posts stuff, I still like the stuff that he posts, no big deal. But yeah, I mean, I expected it. But with what Penny did to Suzy and I, especially Suzy, after 6.5 years, and we had people messaging us all the time saying, well, Penny is saying this and Penny's saying that. And I think Suzy and I stayed quiet about Penny for a good, 3 or 4 months, Suzy?
Yeah,
we didn't. Yeah.
Let it go. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't say anything until we just got tired of people messaging us, telling us that she was talking about us. And
well, I think for me, Brenda, it was after I found her journals and where she wrote in there that she was a Luciferian and she loved Satan. Then I felt like people needed to know that, like that was really relevant, like who she really is.
Yeah. So it was a whole real messed up situation. And there was good people involved in this that got thrown under the bus. so to speak. I still have tread marks down my back, but you know, a lot of it was from a misunderstanding. But I think in all actuality, I sat back and I watched it and I thought, I think she used it as an excuse. I didn't ask Penny to be a part of this show. I made this show for Suzy and I. Okay. She came in it on her own and said she wanted to help because Suzy was her sister and she was going to do whatever she could for her sister. When
And
she came,
she was my secretary, and everything went through her. She would tell people.
yeah. And when she came on here, she kind of took it over. She did do things to help when she did the intro and all that different stuff. When we first started this, I didn't know a whole lot about doing this, but I knew how to start the show. I knew how to end it, and we could sit and we could talk on it. So I didn't know a whole lot about it. So she came in and she did help, and I was greatly appreciative of what she did do. But she went around telling everybody this was her show. She created it. She wanted to start this show for her sister. And it was just a rough patch that, you know, Suzy and I had to go through. She gave Suzy the ultimatum to leave, and she would start another show for Suzy. And she expected that Suzy would do just like everybody else and walk away from me. And Suzy was like, no, wait a minute. You know, Brenda started this show for us. You know, I'm not going to leave. And I don't think that she thought that would happen. See, the problem with me, Penny, and Suzy is I figured out that anybody that tried to get close to Suzy, Penny disregarded and would tell Suzy, oh, that person's this, or that person's got demons, or that person has this. And I figured it out that she didn't want a third wheel. And the problem with it was when she would tell me, I need you to talk to Suzy. I don't have time. She needs somebody to sit and talk to. But I had started talking to Suzy months before Penny was even around. And Penny didn't realize how close Suzy and I actually really were. And that made it harder for her to step in between Suzy and I. Not like everybody else that came into the picture. It was easy. She lived with Suzy. That was her sister. She could step in between it. But Suzy and I talked almost every day for 6 hours for months before Penny even realized it.
Oh, wow.
And we knew each other very well. So it wasn't as easy for her to step in between and push me out, because Suzy knew that, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like Brenda. There is something not right. And when she talked to me, I brought her receipts and she was like, oh, Penny's lying to me. And my answer to that was, I don't think this is the first time. So, you know, it kind of bit her in the back as far as that. And we got tired of listening to, well, Suzy threw Penny out. Suzy was moving you in. No, stupid. You should have listened to everything she was saying. She didn't throw her out, number one. Penny decided to leave because Suzy said, for the sake that her and I needed to get along, because we were all going to be living together in the same place. Well, she took that as Suzy was moving me in on top of her. Well, first, I wouldn't have been able to live with Penny. Penny'd been going out that big glass window that was in the living room there. I wouldn't have been able to live with her. Okay.
That's if you can get her off the couch.
My chair can pull things. I'd have wrapped a rope around her feet. But it was for the sake that we needed to get along, because we had all planned that we were moving to a place where we were all going to be living on the same property. And her and I not getting along would have not been a very comfortable place to live. And that is what SUZY was getting at, you know. And all SUZY wanted was for Penny to tell me she was sorry. She got caught in a lie. And she just wanted her to tell me she was sorry and say
Because I know
sorry
people
to
make
her.
mistakes. People make mistakes.
Right.
So you have to leave room for people to correct their mistakes,
Yeah.
Narcissists will never admit to mistakes. They are
No.
perfect. They're perfect, you see.
Well,
No, I'm hearing a way different response from like both Susie and Brenda than I heard from Tom and Veronica. One felt like the art of war, and you guys is a lot more authentic. It's because I feel you're more authentic. You're not sitting here, you're saying you're not glorifying one aspect over the other. You're being quite fair with them, and they didn't do that with Steve, or anyone else, from what I understand. Their behaviors and what they present themselves as being and the way they behave are opposite. Yeah. But we don't really go around saying I'm altruistic, we just do what's right. We just don't go around talking about it, Tom.
Like, just a side note, when I was in Texas visiting Tom, there was somebody that said something on Twitter that was going against him, and he like almost shut down the whole damn day because of the one person that tweeted something that was saying something negative. He's like, I can't function. Like, I need to get this down. I need to take it off the internet. Like, he was that like strung up about it. And that's just one person going against the things that he says. It's like, you're going to have pushback. You're going to have other people that don't agree with you. And like, what, this one person's going to unravel your whole story? Then it's pretty weak, bro. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, carry on. I ended up, like, after leaving Tom's, I went and visited Susie's ranch. And this was through Penny Shepherd, who invited me there. And she couldn't even come out and greet me when I arrived. I called her phone 3 times when I arrived. And I ended up getting greeted by the ranch dogs. And then Susie, who then gave me a whole tour of the ranch. And only after that is when Penny came out of her little cocoon and was like, oh, hi. Like, she didn't fucking get my fucking calls when I showed up. Like, come on. So there's just all that going on too, where it's like, wow, like, that's really interesting. The person that invited me over here couldn't even come out and say hi right away. Well, she's too busy doing her shows, right?
Now I'm gonna address this, because this was one of the things that I had heard so much about from other people. All right. When I was planning on going up and spending a couple of days with Susie and Penny, for me to go places, I have to have however many days I'm going to be there of my medication. I'm on blood thinners. I'm on all kinds of things that keep me alive. And until they come up with something better, I have no choice. So I not only have to have that, I have to have my shower chair. I took my own towels and washcloths, shampoo, body wash, all of my things. Plus, I can't leave Putin home, so I had to bring him. So I had to make sure I had everything he needed. And I filled my car just for a few days. So I had told Penny that I wasn't sure if I could go. And she said she had the whole week off. She was planning on me being there. Let me use her exact words. It's very unfair of you to not come. So I said, okay. So I went ahead and got everything together to go. Now, when I went, of course, I have a small dog who was in an unfamiliar place, unfamiliar sounds. He did bark. However, after the first day, the only person he barked at was Penny. When she walked across the floor, I spent a lot of time in the bedroom with the door closed. Okay, so that my dog would not bother her. Susie came in. He yelped at Susie when she first walked through the bedroom door. After that, he was all tail wags, pet me. Roger, the same way. And he actually, when he heard Roger come in, he would bark because he wanted Roger to come in and pet him because he liked Roger. Okay. And Roger would come in the bedroom and sit and pet him and talk to him, and he was fine. But every time Penny walked across the floor, she walks heavy. Some people walk heavy.
It's the hooves.
She walked very heavy. The hooves. God, Steve. So every time she would walk across the floor, he would hear that and he would bark at her. Now, when I went, I only planned on staying a few days. I was there 2.5 days and 2 nights. Okay. And
when was this? It was like July?
It was pouring down rain. Mostly
yeah,
June.
the whole entire time. It was the month before.
Didn't really do anything.
It was
It was basically 2 months after I went.
June.
Yeah. 2 months after me.
Yeah.
Was it last June already?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was in June when I stayed up there. She moved out on the 4th of July. After that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And see, this is us keeping a
the
timeline.
Independence Day, 4th of July. Yeah, it was our Independence Day.
Yeah. But you know, she went around telling everybody I was there for a whole week. She even told Susie and them, you know, I had to be there a week. And Susie asked Joel, how long was Brenda here? And he said like 3 days. The kid knows because he helped move my fat butt into the house and all my stuff and my wheelchair and helped me out. Okay. So of course the kid knows how long I was there. And so I had to hear about how, you know, for a whole week I made her miserable. And then when I told her that Jack was coming to pick me up, oh, I thought you were staying longer. I thought you were going to stay a week. I have a whole week off of work. That's what I got. But then she told everybody else, apparently me and my dog drove her insane. I was on drugs. I was going around the house in my wheelchair, round in circles, going, wee. I do know what she was talking about, and that wasn't how it played out. My dog was sitting on the thing he always sits on when I take him places, and he was bored. And I had gone out there to the living room to talk to Penny, and the other dog was in the house, and he went to bark at her. And so what I did was I turned my chair. I said, look, I said, we're doing things, huh? You know, I was talking to him, trying to keep him from barking at the dog. Well, she made that sound like I was on drugs and losing my mind
something
in the
normal
house.
Into something weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Painting you in a bad light.
Yeah. And it's like I said, first of all, people, guess what? I'm on Medicaid. If I tested positive for drugs that were not prescription, I wouldn't be having anything, not even my SSI. So let's get that shit straight. I don't buy drugs off the street. I'm on enough medication that I hate to begin with. I can't stand it. But unfortunately, I have to have it. So, you know, she did. She took it now on, and I'm going to say on her defense, I was in the house the whole entire time I was there because it poured down rain the whole time I was there, and thunder and lightning. And Susie was in her place. I was over there with Penny. I'm in an electric wheelchair. There's mud out there. I couldn't even get out of the house. So, yeah, I was in the house the whole time I was there. But, you know, I was invited and I wasn't felt to be very welcome. That's why I was always in the room with the door shut. And I even got to the point where I don't know what it was, but something came over me that I didn't trust her. And I told Susie, and Susie laughed. She was like, what? There was a lock on the door. And when I went to bed at night, I would lock the door. I had my gun with me.
Your inner self knew, didn't it, Brenda? I mean, you're like, your intuition felt that.
And I mean, and I had taken my weapon with me, which I thought before I left my house was kind of weird. I didn't realize I had it until I got there. when I go to somebody's house, I don't take it. And I didn't need to have it there at SUZY's anyways. They have enough. But I had it with me, and I sat it on the nightstand. And the first day I was there, she had walked into the room and looked at me and looked down and said, "Is that yours?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "Oh," and she walked out. But I had locked myself. I had locked Putin and I in the room at night. And it was so hot in there because what we didn't realize was the vent in there was closed. So the only air I was getting in the house was when I would have the door open, and that was it.
Yeah.
And so I was burning up the night we had done the show, and I was doing it on the laptop there. I had to crack the door open because I needed the air. I had gotten so hot, but she didn't like me to have the door open because she was in the living room on the show and I was in the bedroom, and she didn't want that feedback. But I had to open the door because I was dying.
Wow.
I even brought my own bottles of water. Okay. I had $100 in cash on me for food. I had everything I needed. I didn't have to ask her for anything. I even offered her money for being there, and she wouldn't take it. I was like, okay, so it's like she made something that was supposed to be fun and supposed to be special into I was some invading specimen from outer space or something. I'm tearing up right now talking about this. This is how bad that hurt me. Okay.
I'm sorry, Brenda.
No,
Yeah, I'm
it's all
sorry
right.
too. But you see, we can hear that because we don't have to defend ourselves. It's like this, it's almost like mammals versus reptilians. There's a warm, fuzzy, and emotional, and people, and then we know when the snake has got fur on them and stuff. After a while, we you can put as much fur on them. We know there's a difference, right? Like for us to come together and to sleep in each other's homes, we'd have the doors cracked,
Yeah.
because you just have an open energy. You have nothing to hide. You don't have anything going, just leave the door cracked or whatever. It just seems like a nice gesture and an energy flow in case somebody needs to come by in the morning and say, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the fact that you locked your door just proves that your intuition, we know when we don't feel safe. We know when we're in the presence of something different. We don't have to defend ourselves. They do. And they're the ones that are going to attack. They're the ones that are going to defend. We don't need to do that. And we don't have to explain ourselves to other people because they understand what we're talking about. We know what it's like because Tom is half Illuminati, he said, and the side of him that's human is aware that there's humanity, but the side of him that's Illuminati will never understand what it is. He can only wear it. We do.
Well,
we feel things. And that's why we lock
remember-
our doors when we stay in your homes,
Yeah.
and don't feel comfortable. That's rude, and it was disrespectful for her to do that to you. It was disrespectful for Tom to do that to Steven.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
horrifying. You don't do that as a host.
Yeah.
I remember Susie telling me that Penny used to tell her all the time, she cries just to make sure she's human. I'm not so sure that even something that's not human, I'm pretty sure can cry too.
Yeah, cut an onion.
Right?
Rub something in your eye.
But I
and
used
then
to
act it out because that's all they can do is act it.
Yeah. And I used to think, God, that's so sad to have to think that way. I cry
It
just
is, but there's
to
a
see if
difference.
I'm
There's that
human.
song.
But
They not
I'm
like us.
yeah.
They not like us. And they
No, not at all. Not at all. And Veronica, to say the things that she says about me and Susie, and she's never even spoken to us
no
or anything. And by God, I am 57 years old, and I can count how many men I've slept with my whole entire life with one hand and one finger. Okay. Get a clue. Your vagina is not a swinging door, lady.
I've been
Okay.
celibate for 12 years, so I can
10 years. So, hey.
And I'm
But
52.
But that is so
7 years, dude.
No, Brenda, it's probably her. I'm not defending her, but I'm just saying, maybe in a nice way. I'm trying to say maybe, that's her existence. Like she's looking for, the sugar daddy. She's looking for this. She's looking for that.
True.
Because maybe she's lacking something in her life that she's having to try to find it somewhere else, where she, looking in for love in all the wrong places. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been married and divorced, so obviously I looked in all the wrong places too, but I didn't have to do it 300 times.
And I don't know Veronica, so
Just saying.
I mean,
and I don't either. So I really think that, and I'm sorry, that was just a jab. I shouldn't have said that, but I really think that
you get desensitized after doing that for so many times, though. You can't, you're like in Veronica's case. Sorry to be talking about her, but I'd say even after number 10, you start comparing your imagine number 300. They're compared to everyone else before that. Can they even keep track anymore?
Yeah, true. But
to get back to Penny though,
and my point to that is okay. We all got a demonic attachment. I'd be curious, Susie, did Jesus? I mean, I don't think he came in immune to this attack from demons. I'm pretty sure he had to confront them, talk to them, and deal with his own, especially if he took on somebody else's, battle or something. I would only imagine. But, to just say, I'm demon free, no. You got signs of it too. But don't we all have demons we need to address?
Well,
sure.
I think that we are all humans, and that we have to live a life where we make choices, right? Mm-hmm. So we have free will. So I'm sure we've all have made bad decisions and chose, the wrong things or done the wrong things. But at some point in our life, we have to decide to make a choice that's in the right direction,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's what separates somebody from, hey, I'm going to choose to tell the truth, or I'm going to choose to do the right thing. Doesn't mean that we're not going to make mistakes by accident, we might get mad. We might, shoot, I cuss all the time. I went to church for 30 years and didn't miss a Sunday or a Wednesday, read the Bible 7 times from beginning to end, and, I thought I had it all figured out. And then, I had a little talk with Jesus, and, he says, you didn't have it all figured out, so we're going to figure it all out again, and I'm like, damn it. We got to start all over, but, so what I'm saying is we all just have to work on ourselves, and we all have choices to make, and I think the best choice to make is, treat people the way you want to be treated, so, and just do the right thing. And, that's, my saying is, you can't do any better than that. God doesn't expect anything, God's not religious, he just wants us to do the right thing and to live a good life. It's pretty simple, really. It's not complicated. It's not a bunch of rules, it's really not,
Right.
But yeah, True. We get under demonic attack. I think your question exactly is what, Chad? I think I got a little sidetracked.
No, I was just asking you if you believe the same, that we all have demons, like nobody's immune to that. You shouldn't judge somebody because, you know what I mean? That's a personal thing somebody has to deal with in their own. They come in my dreams sometimes, I've in the past. And I don't know. I think when you have a light, they just come in, and they try their best, but they don't have any power over me except for the, oh gosh, you know, if you do take on a demon, because I used to do some hypnotherapy, so I would kind of confront some of this stuff sometimes. But when you take it on, you're taking on this anger, this rage, this energy that comes through your life and just makes everything go wrong. Every light turn red, everything fall and get lost. It makes, you know what I mean? And you have to stay strong through that. That's what I would imagine Jesus had to do. You know what I mean? In that situation, I don't think he was immune to this lesson. You know, I just think he had to shine his light even brighter and stuff. So,
I agree with you on that
oh,
because
okay.
I feel like yes, you know, we're all under demonic attack or influence, and sometimes we don't know it's demonic, and so we
Yeah.
have to work through that. Sometimes the demonic can trick us or deceive us, and
Mhm.
you know, it's every day is a new day. Every day is a new experience. Every day is figuring it out. Every day is, you know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
it's not easy in this world. It's not easy, but we, you know, I think the God looks at us and our effort to do the right thing, and that's what's important. You
Okay.
know,
Now I
we
would
want to
like
do
to,
the right thing. Yeah.
yeah, and I do feel that Veronica has that aspect of her just because you guys were being empathetic before, unlike what we're hearing from the other side, right? Um, but I'm just saying, you know, you obviously had these people attack you, yet you're still looking and saying, well, you know, maybe this person has their reasons for being in the zone they're in, and they do. I
Well,
understand the fear. I understand being fear based. I understand one, but you should never choose success. It's just that test, you know, when you don't want to see your friend fail that one. So now that she's walked over to the dark side, I'm not open arms. I
well,
am not closed arms, but I'm not ready for, you know, this. There needs to be some space and time between this, obviously, and I need to, you know, she's going to a convention. She's selling her book, and um, she's still on that path as far as I'm concerned.
well, you know, like when you first, I think when I met you, um, and you spoke to me about Veronica, it was with when Rocco stepped into the picture.
Mhm.
And I remember saying that if, you know, you guys wanted to do a show about it, that, you know, I would come and sit and talk to you guys. And you had told me, well, you know, she's dealing with cancer and all this stuff. So I said, oh, I said, I'm so sorry. Well, whenever she's, you know, feeling better, you know, if she feels up to it, you know, go ahead and give me a ring. So learning about her the first time that you told me about her, I felt empathy for her. I mean, nobody wants to go through that. And you know, I felt bad. And when you told me that she had to cut him off because he was draining her, well, God, he did the same to me. That boy mentally drained me so bad that I told Susie, no more survivors. I'm done. I can't right now. No. Um, But then the first time that
Right.
she learns about us, she comes to the conclusion that we have demonic entities in us, you know, or we have
She did.
really?
She did
Veronica.
not
Yeah.
want to know the truth because she had already made a decision.
Yeah.
Whatever was in her best for her book in this image that she's promoting or whatever, this drift, I don't know what you'd consider it now at this point, you know. um
Yeah.
I kind of see Brian to sing as a circus leader,
Yeah. So by the way,
ringleader.
he guested on one of Tom's old host shows. This guy that does like radio broadcasting. The only thing I could say is he has a big split in his front teeth. It's a distinctive feature of his. But other than that, it's like I see Brian going on these shows and they're all connected because it's with Tom and also Penny's connected with that. So it's like I'm seeing all of this play out in
He's
real time.
he has connected himself to the Super Soldier program and survivors. That's the community that he has gotten into. I think that he was one? No. But he is the one that is over the conferences that they come and they talk So he's kind of put himself there.
And he's
I'm
kind of an organizer, Brenda. He kind of brings people together, and
yeah,
you know, and he has enough finances to kind of organize these things, and I think he has interest in learning about these things. So I think that's why. I mean, that's just a little bit of an observation of Brian.
Yeah,
I
that's where he comes
feel like he needs to use a little more discretion, and I do feel like there's certain people that he's invited that he knows damn well shouldn't be there, and I'm not going to name names or who, but he's got a romper room going on right now, and it's kind of frustrating because we wanted something a little more authentic, but I get it. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, I guess, to get things going, and so whatever it takes, right? And I'm just not one of those people.
Yeah.
I've been approached several times with things like when I was still doing interviews with Tom, I had been emailed about going to Maui to be on some like reality show with Tom, living in a house together. And I relayed this message to Tom, and Tom's like, "Oh no, I don't want to do it." And then the Maui fires hit shortly after that. And just recently, a few weeks ago, I got contacted by someone that commented on my YouTube channel saying they had information about Tom. And then they came at me and said, like, they want to purchase all of my interviews that I did with Tom, and that I'd have to pull them off the internet because it was implicating him, that like Tom was talking about him in a roundabout way. But then they wanted me to call them by a different name. And then they were threatening legal action against me. And I'm like, why don't you go against Roseanne? Why don't you go after Tom? Like, why don't you do that? Like, why come at me?
I bet you this person is the same person that broke into his house. The script onto his
Holy shit. So yeah, that last thing that Chad just mentioned, Tom is going from show to show. Yeah. Oh my God. No, okay, there's a break-in story that where no damage of break-in occurred. So like real like sophisticated Mission Impossible shit happened at Tom's remote location in Baytown, Texas. Like it doesn't make any sense. And how would they know like what if the guy okay, let's hypothetically say Tom's telling the truth and someone did break in. How did they know it was Tom's bed? What would have happened if the script ended up on Aiden's bed? Would he have taken that as a threat? I'm under the implication that he did it himself and that he's just lying, saying like, oh, like the script just appeared. Oh, we got more. I compared this to like one of these advertisements for the Scrubs 8th season where JD's walking out of the hospital and Turk comes running out and saying, but JD, you can't leave. They found more scripts. And like he has scripts from like 96, 94, 93, 90. Like he's finding multiple scripts now, and he's saying that they just magically appeared. And this is after I started the Let's Talk series. It's like, holy crap, dude. Like, what a convenient thing to have happen. Like you have new information all of a sudden that you think is going to legitimize your case, which it's not doing much.
Veronica and I split ways. Tom and I, he tried to manipulate me on the way out, and therefore here I am. I'm just going to say that, and he'll do that. I have I also have the text from him and stuff, and how the way his tactic works.
Yeah.
Well, he ended up on Michael Yako's show, and you had mentioned earlier that you got bad vibes from him, and Veronica was openly speaking out against him. So what is her stance now?
Michael Jako?
Yeah.
He was on Jaco's show? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jako, oh, that's right. Yeah.
Jako, Yako, Wacko, Yako, whatever.
That one there, have you ever heard of he's an op.
He's head of
the
remote viewing project. Yeah.
He's an op. I talk to other people in that aspect of the truther community, bigger name people, and there's a lot of people that think that about him. He's an op. So I don't know the man. I used to watch him.
I don't either.
But then he started saying some stuff that was, I definitely didn't agree with, but who am I? But then he started saying some things that didn't even make sense. And I was like, wait a minute, that there's something wrong here. And so to me, a lot of times I think that he spreads fear porn. And I do think that he is an op. And anybody that
I
gets
will say,
involved with him, I don't think they're very safe. You
Yeah.
I
know,
will say, I heard that his son, he lost his son recently, and my sympathy goes out to him for that.
Thank you,
I hope
Susie.
he's healing from that. Yeah.
yeah.
Because I can only go by an intuition. I will say I do not know the man personally myself, and it could be off. My intuition could be off. I'm not saying it is. It definitely is so strong. It's acute with
Yeah,
him.
I don't think it is off. Tell you the truth, Chad.
I'm telling you.
So, yeah. I get that, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt until I stumble into a gopher hole and sprain my ankle. Then it's like, oh, okay, wait. So, yeah. I don't know. I have listened. I started listening to Jaco 5-6 years ago, 6-7, almost 7 years ago.
Me too.
So I started at the beginning, and it was all right. I liked to listen to him, but then he just started. It's almost like he started changing the tactics, the way he spoke, and I noticed it right off the bat, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't know.
Now,
So
I would like to bring something up, and I wanted to check in on Steve on this about my my stuffed animal situation that I once had. Because recently I was watching Steve's show, and he was playing this deposition, and then he was playing this interview that Tom was doing that was current, and you could tell that there was two different energies that Tom can display, quite thickly. And with the interviewer, he was telling him this story about when he was a little boy, he had teddy bears that he wanted to be alive, and these meant a lot to him. And so his brother invited him over to the window, and Tom, and all his gullibility, being so gullible and being so what he wears, altruistic and everything, ran over there thinking that his brother was doing something nice finally, and the dump truck was out there swallowing up all the trash, and he says, your teddy bears are in there, or something like that. So Tom and I have interviewed together, and I don't think he's ever told that story before. As I recall, I'd never heard it in the 20 times that I've talked to him. And I do recall sharing with him my childhood story. And it was sort of like I was a person with a child with dyslexia, and maybe, certain things wrong. I have object identification, face identification issues, and different things like that, cannot visualize. And so I had difficulty with spelling words and copying them off the board correctly in the first and second grades, or third, whatever it was. And I would be punished by having to sit on my bed for days at a time for missing more than the 3, and or 3 or more. And so I would spend 2 days on my bed. Then the next week I'd get 4 days, and then the next week I'd get 6 days. And so I was spending months on my bed. No toys, no books, and just a couple walls to look at, and my stuffed animals. And so as a child, not with schizophrenia or disillusion, just as a child living in my imaginary world, sitting on my bed with no toys, not as a 52-year-old that you're seeing right here, as a 10-year-old, as a 9-year-old. Back in the day too, before electronics. So I had my stuffed animals with me, and I wanted them to be, I was convinced they were alive, and they just weren't moving. And so I would, in my teething, and I'd bite their ears and just bite it to where I felt so much pain inside and stuff like that, and just hope that they would squint or whatever. I was doing things like that because I thought my stuffed animals would come alive. Well, I ended up escaping that situation and going on a trip to visit my mother in Alaska, and I didn't return. And I asked my stepmother to mail me those stuffed animals, and she threw them away into the dump. And so that was my story. And now Tom has his.
And he said a very similar story where, like, yeah, he had his brother call him to the window, and this is after he said he wished that his his 4 stuffed animals would come to life.
Mm-hmm.
And then his brother asked him to go up to the window one day and look out, and there was he said there was a garbage truck dumping into the back. And he's like, "You see that garbage truck? All your stuffed animals are in there." Like, and then Chad comes out and tells me the other day that, like, actually I had a similar story that I shared with Tom. And so he's like, he's story harvesting.
Oh God.
Like everything we've been like thinking that this dude's doing, he's going around gathering intel and then going out and spreading it as his own. And we've had other people that have been like that too, where they share their own, other people's stories as their own. Tom has no recollection of like emails that he sent to his fucking attorney, but that he can go and recall all of these childhood memories, even though he had a bad childhood. I wonder who he stole the story from, where he like stuck his hand in a pie to just grab food and shove in his mouth because he was so hungry. I wonder if he had that told to him from someone else too. The visual of a child's hand going up and reaching is what he was going for, the sympathy part of it. And like it all makes sense now in that like context, but it blew me away that Chad said that he said a very, very similar story. And I wouldn't be surprised if Tom just siphoned that off of Chad. And he probably doesn't even remember who told him that story. He probably doesn't even remember Chad's the one that shared it.
Norma said that Penny steals SUZY stories, and I can believe that because ever since Penny's been with SUZY, she always wanted to hear about SUZY's dreams, and she would write everything down. And so, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Penny Shepard also tried to ask Tom Althouse if she could move in with him. And Tom called his mother, and his mother told him no. If his mother didn't tell him no, Penny Shepard would be living with Tom Althouse to this day. She would have lived there till she died. And who knows like what that time frame is, 20, 30 years?
And you know, kick me in the hiney, because that's the first thing I thought of when I found out Penny was moving. I told SUZY, maybe I better get a hold of Tom and make sure that Tom knows if Penny lives there, she's never leaving.
Nah.
Okay, now can I paint an image, since they did paint an image of us? And yeah, I can roast. I can do the same. But it's like, do you get this image of Tom one day with his mother upstairs, stuffed in the attic, taxidermy, and him wearing her dresses?
Oh yeah. You said that in my comments. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well,
his mother's still living, like not living anymore, but like he's pretending he's talking to her and stuff. Who knows? Who knows the truth?
I'm going to write the sister out of the will. I mean, my daughter.
I mean,
oh shit.
I mean,
he talks bad about all of his siblings. He has brothers and a sister. He has a daughter that he's estranged from. The one son that he still has doesn't want to talk to him.
He's estranged from, 2 sons he was estranged from, and now this story with Aiden. So
Aiden stays upstairs
and his
playing.
Barden died. Where's the empathy?
Yeah. And you'd think he'd wear these things on his sleeve a little more, but he says this stuff in like passing. Like, oh yeah, I forgot to mow the lawn today. Like that type of stuff. But it's like his family he's talking about.
Yeah. And Steve, I mean, you're the type of guy I would leave my child with if I had a child, you know.
Thank you, Chad.
Yeah, you know, and for him to even imply that you were an issue, you know, we're the type of people, if we have kids, we would go to no ends to be their father or to be that parent for them, you know, no matter how much was trying to pull us apart, and not just be whimsical about it, you know, not having photos up of them in our house,
One thing I would.
He's estranged.
Oh my god. Yeah, he has no photos up of his dead sons in his house anymore. But like, I want to know how Aiden even got into custody with Tom. Like, how is he able to take care of him if he has his condition and all this stuff that he's also applied for government assistance. He's on STEM. He has the link
isn't he
card
old
now.
enough? I mean, he might have been old enough to say, well, okay, I'll go live with my dad.
He was saying that he found his Aiden found a girlfriend that essentially is his new family, that he stays over by the girlfriend's parents' house a lot, and that's the family that he's going to be spending time with instead of him. Like, he shared all this with me while I was there, and Aiden was in his last year of high school last year, so he's in college now. He just finished his first year, so he's been further away. And it's like, if he had anything come up when we were doing interviews, I'm like, go take care of your stuff with your son. I understand. I was never giving him issues with that. But like, I wonder, like, how did the wife like just give up the son to Tom? Unless, like you said, that like Aiden chose to go with Tom instead of the mother, because the mother's probably a little messed up too in that. For all,
or she lives somewhere he didn't want to live. You know,
that too. Yeah.
And
yeah.
can I just throw this out there? Like the song says, and Tom has admitted, I will agree with you, Tom. I think you are witty and pretty and gay. And I know he admits to being pretty.
I don't know about
but
pretty.
He doesn't admit to gay.
I can't say.
Objectifying
My
women
opinion,
is like
he's not
he does.
pretty.
Look, everybody asked my opinion of Tom one
Not
day,
pretty.
and this is what I said. I said,
Witty.
the way that I grew up, guys like Tom that were around, we used to call them girly guys. Not because of the way they acted, but because his hair always has to be perfect and his fingers have to be clean. And, so he's a girly guy. Didn't have a lot of masculinity, basically.
Metro.
Oh, you never
So-
burped. You never burped in front of me, by the way.
What?
Like, all of these little things that like a guy would just do around other guys, like he wouldn't do around me. Like, I don't know. I don't know why that like thought came up, but it's something that I've experienced with my other guy friends. Like, they'd burp just to burp. They'd fart just to fart. Like, do guy things. But like Tom, no, he had to be like, oh, I'm thinking about getting this stuff for my teeth because, we want to look good on camera for the teeth. And my teeth, in my teeth, I just want to make sure they look good. It's like, dude, that's like, we're supposed to be writing this book or whatever, and you're doing this. It's just,
Jason. Sorry.
Jason said he sits to pee.
I don't know. It's just, the more I think about the interactions, the more I'm like, damn, like there were red flags. There were definitely a lot of red flags, but like I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. Like, oh yeah, it's this PTSD. That's why he talks to himself while he washes dishes and does stuff in the house. But like, then he blames me for like not waking up. I'm like, dude, come in the room, open the door. No, I'm not going to do that. Well, like, I'm going to have the door closed because your son like slams the garage door every time he goes to school at 7 a.m. and I don't want to be woken up at 7 a.m. by bam. So it was like he was just finding excuses. Like, everything that went wrong was not his blame. It was just, oh, it's you, Steve. It's like, oh, I flew out here on my dime. He almost had a meltdown over like booking tickets back home. I'm like, I could stay longer. I have like 2 more weeks like scheduled out. He looked like he was about to have a nightmare thinking of me staying another 2 weeks. And then he's like, okay, I'll pay for your plane ticket. We get on the website to go do all that on his computer. And he's like almost having a fucking meltdown. Like, okay, I'll use my mom's card and we'll get you the plane ticket. I'm like, all right, dude, you know what? I'm just going to rent a car and I'm going to drive back home. And that's exactly what I did. I rented a Jeep Gladiator and I got the fuck out of there on the day he wanted me gone. He's like, you have to leave at this day. It's like, I want time to myself. You know, what the as if you don't live by yourself to begin with your son. Like, you have this big ass house, 2-story house, brand fucking new, in a development that's still being built. The houses across the street still have the fucking 2x4s going up. And he's like, I need more time to myself. So he called me over here to work on your life project, and then he turned it into a book instead of a documentary. Like, I was expecting him to be there with a stack of items, and that we'd sit like on the same camera with a backdrop like this and be like, okay, so this is the floppy disk where the Immortals was written and saved onto. This is the tape recorder that was swapped out of his pocket, which now we know it's probably not true. But this is a tape recorder from the deposition. Like that type of stuff. And we'd sit down for like an hour and a half and go through all of the physical items because it gave credence to his story. And instead, he's like, no, fuck all that. No, let's do a book. Let's do a book. You got to transcribe my thoughts because I got it. Like the thoughts from God are entering my brain, and you need to transcribe what I'm saying. And I'm sitting there with my recorder, this very recorder, because this can record audio as well. But like, we're sitting there doing that, and I'm writing and everything, and like, it wasn't enough for him. The first few days, major progress, he says. And then after like day 4 or 5, it's like, I can't believe we're not getting anything done, Steve. And then he wanted to go to Texas Roadhouse to celebrate, to have a celebratory dinner. We got steaks. We picked the steaks out of the freezer that was in the front by the hostess. He's running over to the hostess with his phone going like, you know, you see this picture? You see the clock from the Animatrix? I wrote the Matrix. He's saying this to the hostess, who's like a fucking high schooler. Just chick's like, okay, here's your booth. Let me walk you over to where you're gonna eat tonight. You fucking crazy psychopath.
Penny used to do the same thing to Suzy. They'd be going out to eat, or they'd be in a store, and she'd be like really loud, going, "Guess who's coming on my show tomorrow? Roseanne Barr." And she would just be, and Suzy's like, "Oh my God."
Did she really show up on the show?
I think so.
Holy shit.
It's like, oh.
Speaking of Roseanne Barr, I found a clip from Veronica's show where Chad said he was writing in Roseanne's comments all the time about bringing Tom Althouse on the show. So he told Tom this, and then Tom relayed that also Chantel from Aquarius Rising Africa was also helping get Roseanne to host Tom. And now he doesn't talk to either Chantel or Chad. It's like once he got what he wanted, he leveled up in his mind, and then he's like, he's cutting the slack now. He's getting rid of all of us. And now he's going for part 2, which I hope it is like incriminating for him, because just him opening and running his mouth incriminates him, because he double talks about a lot of stuff and he can't keep his story straight anymore. He has to like edit all of us out. He had like the selective memory thing, like even the interrogator for the deposition was saying he has selective memory.
You know, Steve, honestly, they deserve each other. They're like soulmates, you know. They both like to tell tall tales.
Yeah, I said it the other day, like I should take the DVD cover of Big Fish and just paste Tom's face on it.
That was my daughter's favorite movie, Fish. That was a cool movie.
So, you know, I'm curious, if he didn't write this Matrix, which I don't believe he did, it was the concepts that they took from him. Is that correct? Or because he does seem to have this evidence of himself being shown in movies or things, and that's why.
No, I'll tell you what it is. They see a movie that kind of mirrors some of the stuff in their own life, and then they inject themselves into it, and then and they find it's that's like Stranger Things for Penny, and because there are actual movies that are like of our lives and stuff like that, right? I mean, you know, I'm sure,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
But what they do is they take it a little bit further than what's real, and then they start um, adding
Yep.
more stuff to it, adding more stuff to it, and then the characters in the movie, it's totally fictitious, but now they believe that that's their life story. So then they actually become the characters in the movies, and they think that it's them, but it's not. You know.
They
Yeah.
personalize it. Yeah, they make
Yeah.
sure that like everything like revolving around it. Like from that deposition that I shared on Sunday, he was saying that the jacks in the back of the neck weren't enough for him to think that it was like they ripped off his script. He watched The Matrix in 99 in the movie theater, he said. He never shared that on my show. He said he had to walk out of the movie theater several times when he was watching it with people because he went with a friend or friends. So who knows like who he saw that with. But
With
like
a friend.
yeah.
He said friend. And I don't imagine he went there with a guy. I think he went there with a woman and he just left her sitting there in the audience because it was too violent while he went to the lobby.
Yeah, he says The Matrix is too violent, but Gladiator and Avatar aren't.
Yeah, and
Makes
I went
no
on a date
sense.
to Avatar, and it was way too violent for me, but my ass sat there next to my date.
They shoot
and
a
watched the
giant tree
and
down.
everything.
Like the tree of life on Avatar
Yeah.
planet gets shot and bombed down, and you see all of the
That's
people in the
violent.
community. Like that's like a. I would say it's an
Wow.
analogy of the two towers. Like
So
you
why did
see
they
that
put it-
crumbling down, and it's like, oh no, this was like a story of hope and like perseverance. It's like, get the fuck out of here, Tom. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, I will tell you, first of all, now anybody that was involved in MK Ultra or anything like that, okay. Stranger Things may have been written around their stories, but Stranger Things was actually the main character 11. It was actually written about a guy and what he went through. Okay. So I guess,
Yeah.
so 11 wasn't even actually a female originally. It was written about a guy who went through that kind of a program, and he was hospitalized and all this stuff. But anybody who has been through any of these programs can look at Stranger Things and say, oh yeah, that was me. But the fact that Penny says, I am the 11, I'm the original 11. Well, let me tell you, the original 11, Penny, you were too old to be that 11. Okay. So let's just get over that one right there. So
Well, the the one thing that she is like in that movie, because those kids are part of a cult called Hellfire because they worship the devil. That's true about her.
well, there you go.
I mean, that says everything. It says everything, worshiping what she worships. And you have the evidence of it, Susie. It's just
all in her
my
own
friend would not
handwriting.
listen to it. Would not listen to it.
They were her books. She even wrote in a thing about SUZY, about a fight that they were going to get into. And
That's
she
right.
wanted SUZY to believe her. And the story was written before SUZY even met Penny.
Yeah.
And I told
That's
SUZY
that's some
because
voodoo, something.
No.
You do hoodoo stuff.
That is her sitting in a hospital having nothing better to do than to stalk people's Facebook pages.
And
Well, let's go back to the demon, Chad. Okay, demons are ancient. Okay, the demons were disembodied fallen angels. Okay,
Nephilim.
so they have no
Yeah.
bodies, and
Yeah.
so they've been alive and well on planet Earth for I don't know, maybe billions of years. I don't know, but I'm just saying. So they can communicate any information, any history, anything to anybody at any time. So,
Makes
Penny
it very
in
tricky.
her
The
journals,
5D
yeah,
world.
talks to an ET all the time. She says ET. She would ask ET questions. Am I going to marry John? Am I going to have this? Am I going to have that? And ET would say, yes, you're going to marry John. Yes, you're going to be happy with him. So, I mean, so this is the kind of stuff she's consulting with these, other beings and asking, and they're giving her bad advice. But I mean, I'm just saying they can tell her things too. They, they can tell her things in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And when you say that
you know.
your God is the government of defense, then I wouldn't be listening to any voice that told me anything.
Well, she said that her God was the men of the CIA. They are the government of defense. Her God is the CIA.
Disgusting.
And how many journals did you find of hers?
Over 100.
Who would
You
want to
didn't
listen
even,
to her?
yeah, you didn't look
Huh?
through them all.
Who would want to listen to her? You know what? They deserve the audience they have, because I wouldn't want them.
Right. Yeah.
One thing I want to share here that I thought was a really weird parallel with Tom is that Tom asked me to film his documentary. I showed up at his house, and then he switched the playbook and told me that he wanted me to write a book for him. Filmmaker, he's asking to be a writer. Not too long after I started talking with Chad shared with me that Tom wanted him to fly out. Chad's a writer, and Tom wanted him to film his documentary. And so after us relaying information, we finally were able to talk to each other. I'm like, it sounds like a setup to me, Chad. Like, you probably shouldn't even go visit him. And I don't take blame for why Chad went. That's his own decision if he went or not. But we both agreed that, like, that was kind of backwards, that Tom would ask a filmmaker, me, to write a book, and ask Chad, a writer, to make a film. It makes no sense. It's like he was setting himself up for failure so that then he could later on say,
Blame
oh,
somebody else.
yeah, everybody abandoned me type of deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
They said it was too much. Like, come on, you changed from 1 book to 4 books on during my visit there. It's like he was trying to overwhelm me to get me to tap out and say, no more. Like, I can't do this. And then it'll be like, oh, I always knew you wouldn't follow through. It's like, shit, man.
Because there's no finish to this ever. It just got to keep on moving forward and getting nowhere. And that's the only thing he has to run on. And it's going to become more and more apparent. People are going to recognize it. I would like to think that Roseanne Barr would recognize it and come clean with this. You know, her higher self visited me. And, okay, and this could be something else, Susie, of course, but higher selves tend to visit me, and they just do it once. They just pop in, not with everybody, but just sometimes. And it hasn't happened for a while. But one time I was in a trailer situation and in a crappy job and about ready to lose my mind. And I was there I was going to be there for a few weeks and was there for years. And she visited, her higher self came in. I closed my eyes and it was just right there holding me. And I was really, not her, the higher self, the energy came and checked me out because they knew I was not a fan, but that I had much respect for her. And she was a huge part of my childhood, and I was glad that, she was still doing YouTubes and stuff like that. So because we had that connection happen, maybe it was a demon coming in and pretending, and setting me up. Because I was like, why would her higher self come in and visit me if she's going to do this corrupt thing and promote Tom, even though we're clearly saying this man is not who he says he is any longer. I would like to see her, come out clean about this, but if she doesn't, I'm going to assume it was a demon that visited me that night in the trailer and not her higher self to comfort me. It didn't feel like a demon, though. I will tell you that much. It felt genuine. So I would like to think she would do the right thing, but all eyes on her.
Maybe she's still, one thing I know about Roseanne Barr is, you know, she has a very strong Jewish connection, right? And so they tend to think a little bit different than certain people. You know, they have a different way of looking at things. But I think from what I could see, I think that Roseanne Barr is a very interesting, cool person. You know, I mean, you know, but you know, she may not always pick the right friends or the right people to be around, or you know, I mean,
You don't.
maybe it's a path that she's, you know, learning and figuring things out at the same time. Maybe she's, you know, so you know, I just kind of I see Roseanne as you know, a very good person. I really do. I see her as a good person. So it doesn't mean that good people always choose good friends. You know what I mean?
Well,
Or
she's
they
being duped right
tricked or
now.
deceived.
Yeah,
Well,
being
she
deceived.
had. I know that she's come a long way because at one point in time, you know, she had her antics about her where she didn't believe in God and she didn't believe in, you know, but she learned from her mistakes that she had going on, and she's come a long way since then. So
People may have
maybe,
watched
just
too. She
maybe,
accepted, you know, the devil. Remember, she prayed to the devil. She used to say when she was younger, and made deals with the
yeah,
devil, and you
Got
She did.
shut on talk shows.
so
yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen her in person one time because I've seen tons of celebrities at wait tables and stuff, and I never would cross the street or even turn my eye to look at one of them. To be honest with you, you know, I'd always say, "Okay, yeah, I saw them." But with her, I waited until after my shift. I waited till she walked in, sat down, and I said, "Okay, now I can go home," you know, and I got to see her. And so there's been energy crosses and stuff like that. So, is she gonna let him get away with this little, you know, dimple and a little flip in the hair and, oh gosh, talking like this, you know, and kind of like softening all his words and everything, you know, and putting on this act on her show and promoting it? You know, I'd like to see her come clean, if she is privy to doing
or
that, you know,
become
or
more
not just let it
wise,
go,
right?
not
Become
just
more
say,
wise.
okay, whoops, we made that mistake there, let's just go, you know, come out and help us, you know, stop this person from hurting other real writers and directors.
Yeah, if
My
she
camera's opposite, I can't do it.
if she goes ahead,
I'm trying to point to Steve.
Well, I think, you know, as observing Roseanne from her younger days to now, she's made a lot of good progress. So I see her
Good.
making good
I hope.
progress, you know.
I hope so too.
So, yeah.
Tom had said that Roseanne was watching my shows. I hope she's still doing that because she'll learn a lot of new information
too.
about Tom that she wouldn't be privy to otherwise.
Me too.
So hopefully she presses him certain questions and she doesn't edit them out after the fact. I really would like
Or
her to
have
just
him
do
back
a live
on for a third interview after she, you know, and then
Yeah, like I wanted to see what her reaction is going to be to the break-in without evidence of a break-in story.
I know,
Tom
because
is
I bet he
pushing.
said that on there too. I wonder if he told the teddy bear story, but we'll see.
Yeah, like that's what all we can hope for is that Roseanne is going to be truthful with her experience.
I hope
That
so.
if she says like something rubbed me wrong about Tom while he was here, like she could even do an intro to the interview before, because she does everything edited after the fact. She could be like, something happened with the show and Tom got up and left, so I'm just gonna let you know it cuts off short, like something like that if it happens. Or if she asks a question that breaks him and he starts talking in circles again, and she's gonna be like, look at this motherfucker. He's not answering my questions. He's talking about Pat Robertson again. Or he's talking about Rankin, and he's talking about his ex-wife again. Oh shit. That's not what I asked. Like, because he has a really roundabout way of talking about things. And I experienced that, I think, even on the second show. Like, it could have been even on the first one, but the second one for sure. I had specific questions that I asked Tom, that he went off on a tangent about something else about it. And I'm like, no, that's not what I asked you, dude. Like, this is what I meant for you to like respond to is this question. Like, answer it directly. And he wouldn't do it. He'd still go, oh, well, you know, when I was doing the lawsuit and blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, that's not what I asked you. It's not what I asked. But you're still going off on something else altogether. So hopefully she catches that like tick or habit that he has of like trying to re-steer the conversation, and she really like confronts him with the truth of what's going on. Like, he's gonna have a meltdown if she does that. That's why I said, like, even if she releases the thing in its entirety, she puts a disclaimer in front of it being like, look, like, he flipped out, but I had him here. I spent time interviewing him. I could have been interviewing someone else, but I brought him in, and then he wanted to get up and leave. Because I'm assuming that's going to happen at some point, just given his past history with everyone else. It's just, I'm done. Oh, hey, look, a new host. Hi, let's talk about, let me get you up to speed. And then talks for 2 hours about the same bullshit he's done on every other show. He has that conference talk. He can't go beyond that box. He can't go beyond that box now. It's definitely not coming on this Beyond the Box, but, you know, at the conference, he'll be like, hit my hour mark. That's it. Tally ho. I'll be in the lobby. I'll be signing autographs for $30. We'll do a photo op too if you want. It's like, shit, man. That's what that's what you've devolved yourself into, Tom, is just this like this shell of a celebrity. Like, you're kind of famous for writing The Matrix, but you didn't write The Matrix, but you go around bashing everyone that was involved in the creating of this. There's thousands of people that were in the production, and you're just straight up saying like nobody knew that Tom was the writer, but like the stunt coordinator knew, but you're not bringing the stunt coordinator on to like talk with him about stuff. Like, that would have given him more credibility, but maybe even the stunt coordinator's like, this dude's fucking insane. I'm not getting around him on screen and like sharing my thoughts on what happened. And we don't even know if that was a stunt coordinator or not. It could have been someone posing as one. Because I think I got the name of it. I never double checked what it was. But it went nowhere. It's like all these dead end paths. It's like, oh, let's just create a new path. Let's start talking about this one. Like, he was talking about like the WB attorney at one point for like a few weeks, and then just dropped it. And it's like, move on to something else. It's like, well, hey, I'm making all these like the spreadsheet, and I have this like notebook I'm putting stuff in, like trying to create a timeline, and it's fucking confusing as fuck. I can't figure out like who's connected to who. Too. Like, I showed it on my channel. Like, I have a notebook that has all the listed names of all the movies he said stuff was like taken from. Like, he has Kung Fu Panda and Ratatouille in there. It's like, at a certain point, you just got to stop. Got to stop adding more to the pot. He's just continually adding more and more films. So they're like, they stole it here, they stole it here. Like, every film from Joel Silver from like 99 to present is like, there's some involvement with Tom's script. It's like, dude. Like, if these guys were doing that, there would be a lot more evidence of it.
There would be a lot more people out there screaming the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot more, not just one or two here or there. Because that's a lot of movies. There's a lot of different takes.
It would be a Diddy level type of investigation. Like, you would hear about this shit. Like, the Wachowskis got turned into women because they sold their souls to Satan, and now they have to go and like pretend that like Tom didn't write The Matrix and shit like that. Like, what the fuck? Like,
you know what I have a problem with, guys?
What?
About Steve's story. Steve says, okay, this is what really got me. Steve talks about how he was the original scriptwriter of The Matrix, which I never believed that ever from the very beginning. Never, ever bought into that. But after he says that, he goes and he tells his story a lot. And in his story, he says, oh, by the way, I have other movies that I've written, you know, like maybe 5 or so movies.
17.
17. Okay. Wow. Okay. I just counted the number of my letters of my name, and it's 17. So it's interesting. 17. So he has 17 scripts that he's written, right? This is what got me. 17. Now, he claims that these people killed his son, has tried to harm his life, has
Yeah.
destroyed him, has done all these horrible things to him, right? Completely, they're at fault. They're bad people. They're horrible people. But he'll still work with them and make a deal with them if if they give him the money, and then he'll give them the movies, and he'll work with them. He'll make a deal with them, you know. So I'm like,
Yeah.
right there, when he says that, I can't believe. I couldn't believe him from the beginning, and I can't believe him in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of these people did these horrible things. They killed his sons, apparently, which I'm
Drug
questioning
him
now
and
too.
rape him too, and then he wants to do the right thing.
He's like, "Oh, they'll come around.
Altruistic,
They'll come."
the good
Yeah,
no, that's not what it means. You're wearing it. You don't know what it.
they'll come around and help me make my movie eventually. They'll be on our side at some. What? Oh shit!
Like I said earlier, you know, the human side of him is aware of humanity, you know, but the Illuminati side of him will never understand, you know, and you can see how things coalesce. I mean, it would just make sense if he was truly authentic, truly really doing what, I mean, if everything was real, like what he was saying, that he would be here with you. You know, there's a warm feeling here. I mean, we're doing the right thing, but no, there's this, like in Harry Potter, you know, you got the Slytherins over here that are kind of wicked and dressed in the black, and then you got the Mufflepuffs, or I don't even know the names. I'm just saying, you know, you got people, but you got the warm little fuzzy ones over here, and then you got the cold, you know, and you can tell where they just
Wait.
to the arms of people.
I got it.
Shepherd, Michael Jaco.
I got it.
Wow.
I rode on a motorcycle. Harry Potter was written about me. Sorry. I don't know. I had to say that.
And Peter Pettigrew lost his hand, and that's similar to a
Dang
foot.
it.
That's
Yes.
like they lost a limb. They wrote him about you.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
And they turned him into a rat, and you found rats in Susie's Penny's house and all of that, like that
Penny's
she was
house.
living in. Like, whoa. It's all making sense now, right?
No, I'm sorry. We should,
Yes, it's all making
I don't know.
sense.
That's us conjecturing. But like, Tom would do this with, like, he'd talk about narcissists, but he'd be talking about himself. It's like a master class in deflection, where he'd openly talk about what he's doing, but frame it as, oh, that's what the narcissists do. But like, here he is, like, behind the scenes attacking the empaths and telling us that we betrayed him and stuff. Like, just for questioning things. Just for
He still wants to work with the murderers of his family. He still wants to work with them. He
they'll
wants to
come
be their
around.
friend.
They'll come around. Yeah. So what did you do with the body after you killed my son? By the way, shooting is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Be on set on time. Like, what the fuck, man?
No, it's just...
How does that even, like, calculate in his mind? That all the agents are going to come over to his side eventually.
Well, you know, Chad, I know that you thought very highly of Veronica. You talk very highly of her. A lot.
Thank you.
And I am very, very sorry that, you know, you had to go through that. Because trust me, we all know exactly how you feel. And, you know, it can hurt for a little while, but it was not your fault at all. You need to know that. You tried to do good things by her to let her know, hey, you might want to, I mean, without straight up coming up and saying anything to her, you gave her the option to figure it out herself. You know, by you saying you might want to look at this stuff, you might want to think about this, you know, that was the right thing to do.
Thank you.
So, you know, you did no wrong at all.
I don't like speaking poorly of people myself, but I reserve my judgment of people until they do things to me that I don't think is fair or right or in that context. And I was a defender of Tom and his story all the way up until the day he changed his mind about me. And I really think it was because I tried to warn him that Penny's not a good person. And he was willing and ready to listen to Brenda and Susie share the story of what happened, where she got caught in a lie and then fled the property and left all the journals. And we were going to show him pages of the journal where she's talking about like Satan is her person that she's like putting her cards up against. And so like, she's like teaming with Satan and talking to ETs.
Just for this, the fact that, you know, we all liked Tom and we wanted him to be careful because
we wanted to see him succeed. Yeah.
And I took it, you know, that Tom could be a very vulnerable person and I wanted him to be very careful, you know, with his story, because after talking to Susie, knowing that she was writing everything down, I started to kind of get, oh my God, is she trying to be you? I mean, is she going to kill you off and take over your life? I mean, what is going on with this crazy woman?
It's
So
terrifying.
to give him the benefit of the doubt, to just be careful. And my opinion of Tom never changed until that night. And what happened that night was by sheer accident. Okay. We were all backstage waiting to talk to Tom. And Steve, I think, thought that he was muted when Tom called him. And Susie and I both heard Tom say he didn't want to talk to either one of us. He didn't believe us. The only person he wanted to hear from was Steve. And that's when Susie was like, oh, you know what? Screw him. If he cannot be a man and come and talk to us like a man, well, then I have no more respect for him.
Yeah, I had no idea that the phone call was like able to be heard by both of you, but you guys heard everything. It's like I wasn't holding anything back. You heard the truth. That he was like, I really think Penny got to him before we were able to jump on.
He really kind of pissed me off pretty good that when I heard that. I'm like, well, fuck him.
Yeah, and I know that he probably let her know that he was going to sit and talk to the three of us.
What a coward, you know, what a coward. He's not a man. He's not a man.
He can't make his own decisions. Yeah.
And she probably told him, I wouldn't listen to them. They're just going to lie about me. Well, Tom Althouse, just so that you know, we were bringing receipts. We weren't lying about nothing.
First-hand accounts from Susie.
But you got to remember this, guys. You got to remember, birds of a feather, they flock together.
That's what I was saying.
True.
Yeah.
So no matter, you know, the more you bring forward, the more they find that they're much more alike. And so it's just going to bring them closer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you, Brenda, for commenting the way you did on the situation that I had with Veronica. Penny Shepard did refer to me as being a psychopath.
She should talk. Look at who's calling the kettle black. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll tell her right now I'm no psychopath.
She uses that word a lot. Let's just so you know.
Okay, good. Because she did it because of the conversation Veronica had, and I've been called Dexter quite a few times. People just have that reference. Well, I'm sorry life was tough on me. I had no emotions for a long time. I functioned on respect. I just learned, you know, but I was never perverted. Like Dexter is a lot like me. Don't get me wrong. When I look at that Dexter. Man, okay, thank you. He is a lot like me. We're a lot alike. I'm a Sigmata, but I am nothing like Dexter. I don't have that perversion. And so don't call me a psychopath. What I am is like a mongoose, okay? I can be I can be a snake charmer. I can charm the heck out of you, Penny. Or I can be a mongoose and, you know.
Go for your juggler.
What did I say, juggler?
Go for your juggler.
Yeah, and go straight for your juggler. You know, if you're a snake, I can handle you two different ways, but I'm not a psychopath. So don't call me one, and don't refer to me as being one, Veronica Jack Frost.
She
You know,
doesn't
life made me a
actually.
Sigmata. I can be strong. I'll take the head right off of an alpha in a
Yeah.
heartbeat, you know, but
You choose
I'm not a
peace.
psychopath.
You choose peace. And
Yeah.
actually Dexter's not either. Dexter rights the wrongs that the justice system makes.
Yeah,
If you ever really sit and watch
I
that
do.
show, that's what he
Yeah.
does. He rights the wrong that the justice lets slide.
Yeah.
And that's what that show is about.
Anti-hero. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So, I mean, it really, honestly, to tell you the truth, neither Tom nor Penny have any shoes to fill when it comes to talking about anybody else. Okay? Because I'm here to tell you that neither one of them are any better than anybody else. They're human too. Believe it or not, Penny, you're a human. You're human because I'm sure you bleed like everybody else. You're human. But most humans learn from their mistakes and they don't keep doing them. And that one there, I am sorry, there is a special place in hell with everything that I have gone through myself. And I don't hate her. I try not to hate anybody.
Yeah, we can't
because
really. Yeah, you're right.
hate is a terrible thing and it just burns at you all the time.
I don't
And you
either.
can't have that. So I don't hate her, but I will never trust her again. I will never welcome her around me ever.
Yeah.
You know, ever.
There's no
So-
revenge. There's no like unable to fall asleep at night thinking of like ways to get
Nope.
back at these people. No, we're not doing any of
No.
that stuff. We're sharing our experiences and how we were treated. Meanwhile, you hear Tom going on all these shows, continuing the bad mouth like everybody except himself. And like that repetition
Yeah.
after a certain time, like you see it for what it is. Like he's deflecting, he's not taking responsibility for everything, everything and anything, and he's a perpetual victim. He wants to stay in that stasis of, I'm about to make the documentary, I'm about to make my real film, we're about to go and like get $4 billion from Warner Brothers and Miramax.
The agents are on our side. They're switching over, folks. They're all coming this way.
But don't make me watch Ghost in the Shell because Jackson the Neck were in that from the late 80s and I didn't start The Matrix yet. Like, come on, man. And he said that the Immortal script was something that was like, he was transcribing from another entity. So it's not even from his own brain. So he's not the writer he's saying he is. He said one of the other 17 films that he buried without any bindings in a trash bag somewhere in the middle of Pennsylvania. He's like, one of them is a dream movie, you know, Inception. Christopher Nolan stole my idea and made Inception with that. Like he was trying to do that. So if the Matrix shit falls apart, he could start shit talking Christopher Nolan. Oh yeah, The Dark Knight has a hospital scene, and I have a hospital scene in The Immortals. I was like, man, do you realize how you're sounding, man? Like I had to take a step back when he started trash talking Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan's a Freemason. He has the 11 symbolism everywhere in it. 11 symbolism is Freemasonry. You have the two pillars with the checkerboard floor. That's Freemasonry. So if you see 11 in the films, you look at Bound with the Wachowskis, has the 11 on it. In one of the suitcases, they open it and they say, oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And there's the 11 symbolism. And I made a whole binder of 11 symbolism in Hollywood. And I didn't know where I was going with it. And I told Penny about this and she's like, oh, you have a binder of 11. I like that. But like, other than that, like I haven't done anything with it. I thought there was something to it, but now I know it's just Freemasonry. And like Christopher Nolan, as much as I glorified him as a director, he's one of the only, like, he's never fixed his sound issues, his audio issues on his films. And I haven't watched anything since Tenet. I didn't watch Oppenheimer. It's just, I don't feel the need to go and watch these big blockbusters anymore, especially like stuff with Tom Cruise.
You want to say hi to Norma? Say hi, Norma. Hi, Norma. Why are you looking at me side-eyed? Oh, I'm getting a dirty look.
Wait, I'm not made up yet. You gotta wait. You gotta give me a bath before you show me on screen.
You said you didn't brush my hair.
So Norma says that Penny is asking for money right now because she's in the move. She's moving.
Oh, she going out to David's finally?
Apparently, that's where she's headed, that direction. You know what she used to tell me? That she
Andy.
would never live with Dave. That she didn't like Dave. She wasn't going to go there. But maybe it's her last resort. Maybe it didn't work out with
Maybe
Billy.
And Andy's watching the show because he just messaged me and said, "Hi, Putin." If you didn't know, Chad, Putin is my Russian Chihuahua's name.
I know.
But yeah, it's a shame that sometimes we have to do this stuff. Like I said, Susie and I stayed quiet about Penny for 3 months, almost 4 months. And we just got so tired of being messaged and talked about that we finally decided, you know what, maybe we need to step up for ourselves because we're being dragged through the dirt. I mean, there was people that had come on to my show before that I wanted to come back, and they were saying, well, we can't because Penny won't let us. And she said that if we come on your show, we can't come on hers ever again. And it's like, well, okay. All right. The only one that did not say that to me was Penny Bradley.
We really don't want those kind of people on our show anyway.
That's right. If you're going to sit there and let some woman change your mind on going on a show as a grown adult,
or mind control you.
Yeah. Well, then you don't need to come on mine. And we don't have a big channel. Susie and I have talked about this before. Even if I had enough people to monetize my channel, I won't monetize it. Why? Because we don't do it for money. If we have 50 people watching and one person gets it, then we did our job. We love our small little show. The people that watch our show are great people. They're consistent. They come on, we talk, we communicate. We like it. We don't have to be some big show and all this stuff. No, we don't do this for money. We don't do it for money. It's.
And let me say something about my channel. I have it monetized, but I've also been creating films and doing this type of thing my whole life. Like, I would easily say the past 22 years I've been pursuing this. So I think I have a little bit more slack with trying to monetize my channel because of what I can produce for others. Just like I made the intro and outro, the new one for this channel for Beyond the Box. Like, I did it as a favor. I didn't even ask Brenda to pay me. I just did it.
And our intermission, he did an intermission for us, so we don't have to use the old one. If we take the 5 minutes, we haven't really been doing that much anymore, but sometimes I might have to because, well, I can't do like everybody else, and if I have to pee, I gotta go. I can't hold it and then run to the bathroom hoping I'm gonna make it. Oh no, I'll fall on my face. So. I have to take that 5 minutes if we need it. If I don't need it, then we don't take it. So, he did that too. And I appreciate what he does. And, him and I are trying to be able to link channels. So we're going to start working on that stuff too.
Yeah, this is the first time we're doing a simulcast. So we're live on the Issel Missile Productions because I'm rebroadcasting through Streamlabs. Like, I'm just having the window rebroadcast and my audio picked up too. But we're having both this same show on both channels, so it'll get to the most amount of people possible.
Yeah.
So there's some people that are watching on my channel that they dropped off after a while because they didn't really caught on to Tom's grift, so they didn't want to watch anymore, and I understand that. But like, here they're watching again, and I'm thankful that they decided to tune in tonight because, I mean, you guys are getting a lot of new information here, and this is the first time Chad wanted to speak publicly about this. Chad, for a long time, thought about whether or not he should come on here publicly and say the things that he said tonight. And really, I think it's in his right to do so because he was so involved with this whole process too, trying to help Tom, we're all here trying to lift people up. We're not here trash talking everyone under the sun. We're just talking about the bad things others did to us, but we're not doing the same stuff Tom and Penny do, where they're constantly making fun of others and saying, oh, they're the reason for all my problems. Like, I got stuff I know I'm in a situation in my life where I know that a lot of the stuff is due to my own actions. Like, if I spend $8 over at some store, then I don't have that for something else. I'm not going to blame the store. Oh, I can't believe they drew me in there and like made me spend my money. No, like, that was my choice.
I can't believe the grocery store said I needed food.
How dare they charge me I should be able to walk out for free with all of that. You know who I am? I interviewed Tom Althouse. You give me all that stuff for free. Like, come on.
And honestly, what I can say to Veronica,
thank you, Norma,
is Veronica, honestly, I know you don't value anybody's opinion, but probably your own or Tom's or Penny's. But in my opinion, you should owe this young man an apology, because he did not and still stood at your ready, even when you were dogging him. And all he was trying to do was protect your best interest.
Yeah.
Because when this all comes apart, and one day it will, you're going to be known as that crazy lady who listened to Tom Althouse and Penny Shepherd. And who's going to be there to let you cry on their shoulder? Well, soon enough. I mean, it may be Chad. But after so long, you might as well forget it. Because he gave you his effort. And that's pretty sad. Very sad.
Yeah, it seems like these people think we're expendable, and they talk about empathy but show no empathy.
They just
So, and we're allowed to voice these thoughts and opinions.
Yeah.
Like, we shouldn't be in fear of expressing ourselves here.
We live in America, man.
Yeah.
America. We have the First Amendment, and if that doesn't work, we have the Second.
Yes.
We live in America, man.
I've always been a fan of Malcolm X, you know.
Right.
It's this way or the bullet.
Yeah. Malcolm X, man. I'm not biased.
You know what sucks though is these people pretend to be what we actually are. We are actually truly trying to be for and with humanity, and they're claiming it, and it's the thing they wear.
Name one child that either Penny or Tom has helped, and they say they're for the children. Name one by name.
No. Yeah, right.
I'm still thinking.
Take all the time in the world. Name one child they've helped. They're for humanity. Name one person they've helped. One child.
Well, okay. So Tom does have a son. I'm pretty sure he does feed. So that's helping.
Yeah, he brings the food up to his room. I guess that's helping that one. Okay, you got me.
Okay, and
Like hours in the end.
Penny used to buy cakes and stuff for Joel because she knew that he liked them. So that's another kid.
Well,
man.
you know,
We got to
there is
pack
a
it
thing
up and
called
go
love
now.
bombing.
Oh, we're
Yeah,
Love
yes.
bombing.
Love
Love
bombing.
bombing.
Love bombing. Yes, there is love
Yeah.
bombing.
And he told me too, he's like, Chad, I never expected this from you. You should have come to me sooner. And I was like, no, I was watching everything. And you know, he called me actually, Chad, I need to know, where do you stand on this? And it's just like, well, you know, I had to be very careful about what I said. He put me on the spot, and I got the messages on that. You don't do that to somebody, and you don't try to manipulate them. I'm the same person I've always been and always will be. And I told you, Tom, in the very beginning, I can love somebody and leave them. You know, I'm not your, you know, you were a mentor to me with the things that you presented yourself to be, but I don't need that. You know, I got intuition guiding me, and yes, I have things to learn, but now I have somebody else who writes books that's going to mentor me. Thank you very much. I don't need your assistance any longer.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, there comes
Now,
a
I
time
have
when we
something
have to.
weird to tell.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I did in my genealogy. I was looking in my genealogy. My birth name is Altfather. It's Aultfather, like ultimate father. That's my birth name. It's from Odin, right? A Norse god, right? But 6 generations back, one of the Altfather grandfathers married a Althouse grandmother. So I said to Tom, the
Oops.
father is in the house. And that's a real story.
Oops.
It's wild. Like,
Yeah.
like there could be family relations there for all you know, but like you don't
That's
want
it.
anything to do with Tom. You don't want to be
Hey, I have,
involved
what
with
is
him.
it? What did Jesus
Oh God,
say? He said,
Susie.
Jesus said that even the members of your family will be your enemies. Yes.
You just said that. Now Tom's going to go around telling everybody he's related to the gods.
Oh, he already thinks
No,
that.
he married.
I was
Well,
just
you
gonna
know,
say
it was an alt house that married into my family. So he's probably not that particular alt house,
Oh.
alt father. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay.
It's that far back enough where the family split off so much it doesn't even matter at this point.
Yeah, the tree gets pretty spread out.
The tree gets spread out. We all have fathers that spread their seeds.
We're all the children of Genghis Khan, right?
Yeah, right.
A lot of them are. Yeah. Yeah, Genghis Khan moved down into South America, so a lot of the Aztecs are Genghis Khan descendants. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, I'm glad that you did this,
Thank you.
Chad. I'm pretty sure that it will help you go further and know that you don't have to keep this stuff inside. And you shouldn't. You were done wrong. Okay. And I really have a sneaky suspicion that Steve was right. Had you had gone out to Tom's, you probably would have been faced with the same thing he was. He didn't have time for it. He had to go watch more Netflix and see what movies he was in this week, and different stuff like that. So you probably saved yourself a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of headache.
Yeah.
So.
And next month, I'm going back to Texas, and I'm going to make up my last experience with this new one. And I'll get to meet Brenda now for the first time. So that's going to be fun.
I'm going to come down that day. I haven't told Jack yet, but I'm pretty sure it'll be all right.
It's in the schedule.
It's in the schedule. I penciled you in.
But it's like, yeah, it's about making the new experiences. And really, like these people we just talked about tonight, they're really living in the past. Like they're talking about stuff 30 years ago still. And I'm all about making new memories, new experiences. And that's the only thing we can really do now is to go on with our lives and try to create new. We're all creators here. We're creating content. We have ideas we like to share. And then we have these people that want to keep us shackled and like keep us from doing stuff. So the further we get away from that, the more that we could we're going to be able to bloom and flower and show our creative sides and be more expressive and let our souls grow. And so like that's what I take away from all of this, and sharing this stuff gets it off our chest, and we don't have to carry it around with us day after day. We can move on then and not have to worry about, oh man, when am I going to share this? you've shared this stuff now, Chad, and I really hope it takes a weight off of you. Because like when I first shared all this stuff, I think it was here on Beyond the Box. This is before I did any of the Let's Talk shows. And it really helped me knowing that there were others out there that agreed that the situation wasn't right and that we were being taken advantage of for the skill sets that we were bringing forth. And it was really hurtful to me what Tom did. I let that be known the day of that I was hurt because of all the time and skill and effort I put into trying to lift him in his story. And then we also heard from Brendan and Suzy of how Penny hurt them. Just the deception alone is really hurtful. I can understand that. And you're right, Chad. Like these other people went ahead and found us empaths, trying to say that they are empaths too.
Yeah.
But then they were trying to like just control our worlds at the same time.
And they're nothing like us. And then they turn around and say, you're a narcissist. What? It's like,
I didn't really know what that word was until Steve explained it to me. So I'm gonna just be honest.
Oh,
I lived my life in the shell.
He's good at that, man.
I wasn't really like into looking into all of the aspects of a narcissist until sometime last year. After all the stuff with Penny went down and I started like researching what a narcissist is. Like I knew of the word before, but like once I realized like, oh, these are the traits that they have. These are the things they do to other people. They have no accountability. They'll deflect everything and say it's you. They'll gaslight you. That's one major thing. I was like, oh my, gaslighting. They do stuff and then say they didn't do it. And then they call you crazy for thinking otherwise. And so the more we like talked about this out in the open, it's like, wow, like it's painting quite a picture here. It's like Tom was trying to jump ahead of everything. Like, oh, they're going to accuse me of a narcissist next. So here, let me explain what a narcissist is and show how like everybody else that's going to jump on me are the narcissists and not me. That's the way that he is going about all this to this day. And he's also stealing other people's stories like Chet. He talks about like everything he's like saying about everybody else. He's doing himself. He stole Chad's story about the stuffed animals coming to life. Like, come on.
That's
and
wild.
I am going to say this too. You know, I live 25 minutes from Abe. So one of these days I'm going to go on one of his walks with him.
There you go.
I am.
Make some memories.
Oh, it'll be memorable, all right, because between him and me, I don't think that those things that pop out of the trees on him are going to have a snowball's chance in hell. So, just saying. but yeah, I am glad. I'm glad that you did this and you decided to do it. I know when you told me at first, I just wasn't really feeling all that great. So I thought, well, when you wanted to do it, I knew we had a time crunch because I knew Steve was getting ready soon here to go on his little world tour and come to Texas. So, yeah.
Yeah, I won't have this set up. Like, I'm not bringing it with me or anything. It's really unnecessary for me to do that, considering all the stuff I'll be doing. Like, I want to be enjoying myself with my uncle, watching wrestling and meeting wrestlers. And then after going to SUZY's, we plan to go to Nashville for a day. So, like, we got this whole thing where we're just going to be relaxing and enjoying ourselves. So that's why I'm not going to be putting any content out unless it's reposts of stuff I've done prior to me leaving.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he doesn't know it yet, Tex, but I've talked about it before. So I think he's afraid that I might get hurt, but this is me I'm talking about. I know better. So, you know, I chase things away that are like that. So it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I don't think you'll approach it with naivety.
No. Oh, no. Not at all. I've done this since I was 5 years old, so anything negative is usually pretty afraid of me. And, you know, and I told Suzy that when I came up there, before I even came up there, we were talking about that. And I told her, you know, demons run from me. They hide from me. They stay away from me. They don't like me because I don't take too kindly to them, and I'm not afraid of them, and I don't care how big they think they are. I am not afraid of them. I've been bit. I've had my hair pulled. I've been pushed. They don't scare me. I'll stand right back up and say, "Excuse me, try it again." So, but I told Susie that, and bigger than
funny.
shit, I go out there and I stay there, and
Yeah.
I brought out something in Penny that I don't think, and Susie wasn't expecting it. She really
Well, I
was
did
not.
kind of warn you a little bit about her. You know,
Yeah, she's hard to be around.
yeah, yeah.
But it didn't, it didn't bother me because I stayed in the room with my door closed. Yeah. I went out on occasions to see if she was okay. I even went
Didn't think
out
she
there.
was capable of the things that she did do. I never thought she would take it to that level.
Yeah. And I left a half a thing of bottled water there and everything. I took my own water. I put it in the fridge, and I took extra cigarettes. I even told Roger, there's cigarettes in there, go help yourself. Water, cold water in there. I told Joel when he was in there, there's cold bottles of water in there. If you need a bottle of water, get some, and I would go out and ask Penny, like I went out there and asked her, hey, can I go and use the shower? She's like, well, yeah. I'm like, okay, just asking, because it takes me a little while. Like, it takes me almost 45 minutes to take a shower, and I hurried as much as possible because, I have to sit in a shower chair, and it's like a circus act in there trying to clean my whole entire body. And I got to be careful I don't fall off of the chair while I'm in there, because I would have really been in trouble. Because they'd have had to been calling 911 to come and get me, or getting the skitzer and trying to pick me up, because I am not light. I am not light. So, but I was as courteous as possible, and I still got shat on for it. So, it is what it is.
I
Well,
think
when
you
she
are,
got mad at you for not for you trying to cancel coming up there, that should have been
Yeah.
a huge red flag.
And it wasn't because of anything other than the fact that I realized when I go somewhere to stay, I have to take so much stuff with me. I mean, if I got to stay longer than a few days, I need to rent a U-Haul just to take all my stuff. And it's like, I even left a wheelchair and a ramp at Suzy's and a walker at Suzy's that she has inside the thing, because it's just so much bringing everything back and forth. So, I mean, and that was the only reason why I said, maybe I better not, because we had gone up there once before, Jack and I, and we were there for a few hours and then we drove back. And it's a 5-hour trip there, spend a few hours there, and then a 5-hour trip back. And that hurts. But I have but I have a dog that I can't take with me. He has to stay here. So I have to have somebody come over and take him out to go to the bathroom and, bring him back in. So I knew we couldn't, stay for very long. But
And I got like 16 dogs and puppies,
yeah, but I have small dogs, and the bad thing about Tucker is
I
he
have
doesn't
those
even
too.
Tucker doesn't know how to act at home, so I definitely can't take him in public because he does not know how to act in public. And if he's seen all 20 of your big dogs running towards him, he'd probably have a heart attack and die right there on the ground. And then I've got
Right.
little Putin here, who is smaller than Tucker, and he thinks that he could take all your dogs on. He's 10 foot tall and bulletproof now. He just thinks he can take them.
And I was glad you came, but you know what? It was shocking why she wanted you here and what she did to you, and
Yeah.
just a miracle that you're here. Yeah.
And every time somebody brings that up, all I say is the bitch tried to kill me. That's all I can say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you've shared that before on your show here. So
yeah,
I'm glad we didn't have to retread that too much, because it is very disturbing.
Yeah.
That she even tried to do that.
It gets very, very dark. Very dark. Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, Texas, I sure
But
did.
they say, Brenda, you guys, it's there's a scripture that says something about that. We have to warn people of certain things, because if we don't, their blood can be on our hands. So if it just helps one person, veer away from the dark or the danger, I mean, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
look,
saying.
I spoke up on my
know.
channel, and then Chad decided to contact me. Like, I helped Chad avoid a lot of just strife in regards to the Tom Althouse situation, because he would have ended up leaving, like going and visiting, coming back home with
Broke.
being made no progress, broke, yeah, all of that stuff, and it just wouldn't have been a good situation. I didn't want a mirror of the same thing that happened to me,
Yeah.
where I got bait and switched, and then I'm being blamed for no work getting done. So I'm glad that I spoke up, because it did help Chad.
Thank you.
And I mean, these people are going to try to attack me and Chad, say, like, I can't believe, like, you did this and that. Like, your situation's a lot different on the other side. The people that are trying to say we're the problem here, we were trying to lift these people up, and instead they decided to try to, like, take us out or just drop us, cut us off, and, like, not have anything to do with us anymore.
I'm in the chat, Jason.
Oh, yeah.
I just said something. It's just my alias.
Yeah, Chad watches my shows almost every Sunday, so I'm really glad
Yeah.
that he's there. And then
I watch your shows. I don't always catch them live, but I watch your shows, and usually twice.
thank you.
Yeah. And you do see that name in our chat, Jason. So yeah, he comes in ours too. So, but yeah, well,
I do appreciate the platform, Brenda. Thank you, because
Hey,
mine's
not a
taken
problem.
away.
Well, we were going to go ahead and just do it on Steve's with the Zoom, but Susie uses her phone, and her phone wouldn't let her download the Zoom chat thing.
I think this
So-
worked out the best way possible,
Right.
because we're simulcasting. So
Yeah.
being on your show and then me just restreaming it to my channel, now we're getting more viewers that way. And we're trying to get as many people to see this as possible. It's not about the attention, it's about getting the information out. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that it worked out this way, because now we have that opportunity to have just one more person that could be in this situation where they're trying to get involved with these people, and now they know the other side of the story here
Yeah.
of, like, what could happen to them if they get too deep in the water with them.
And we got to experience linking beyond the box with Steve's channel thing. So we know we can do that now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all a learning experience. You should have seen me and I'm glad Susie called me when she did, because we had time to play with it. So the minute we found out, I'm over here rushing to trying to create a show so I can get it in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
Yeah.
worked out good. So, but I am glad that we did this, guys. We have been going now for 3 hours.
too.
Holy crap. Holy
It's been a
crap.
great show. Yeah.
Yes, very good. And I am glad
to
that
be
we
here
did
with
this.
Susie too. Thank you, Susie. I
Yeah,
watch you all the
Thank
time.
you,
So it's
Chad.
just nice, yeah, finally to be
Oh,
here with you and stuff.
Thank
And I
you.
respect say
Hey, shut
we're
up.
on the same page informational wise and stuff like that. And I support you guys. Thank
God bless
you.
you. Thank
I'm
you.
excited you're all getting together too. I think that's going to be amazing. It's going to be so much different than what the other, because they not like us, they not like us. You're just going to feel the difference. Your door's not going to be locked and wanting a gun by your side. You're going to be
Well, I still keep that
creativity
by
and all
mind.
the things they claim that they don't have.
Yeah, that stays by me even in my own home. So,
Yeah,
hey,
you guys just create and have fun and just enjoy your energies.
oh, that's what we do. I had to kind of drop off for a little bit because I was doing some other things, but that's over now. So now I'm back over here. Steve told me last night, I'm not used to you being around this time of night because you weren't for a while. It's like, yeah. He's like, welcome back.
Yeah, I'll get used to it again. It's kind of like the sleep cycles changing every few weeks. It's like,
yeah, mine does that
sometimes
too.
I'm knocking out before midnight, and then other times I'm just up all night doing stuff.
Yep. And I do the same thing too. So, I don't have, people ask me what my sleep schedule is. I'm like, what? What you talking about? There's a schedule to that? Wait a minute. Nobody told me, because I'm all over the place. There's times that what I do when I can't sleep and I know I'm exhausted? I will turn my phone on. I will lay in my bed and I will sit and listen to Abe, because he's got such a melatonin, soft voice when he speaks, that when I'm real anxious and I can't go to sleep, it calms me and I'm able to fall asleep.
Put you to sleep.
There's been times I have fallen asleep and I have woken up 3 hours later and they were still on. I'm like, oh, you guys are, and Jesse will laugh at me, because if he says something and I don't pipe up, he'll say, oh, Beyond the Box fell asleep again. It's like,
Oh, that's good.
And I've even tried, I'll sit up at my computer and I'll sit here and I'll do this, and before you know it, I'm asleep in my chair, sitting here with my hand in my head in my hand, So
the other night, I think it was last night, Jesse popped up on the show, but he didn't have the video.
Right.
But all you heard was I lost it. I was like, oh my God.
And he always asks me all the time. It's so funny because I don't think anybody gets the joke, but he always asks me if I brought my Scooby snacks. Well, Jesse knows that I have a Scooby-Doo tattooed on my breast. And we were talking one day and I said, it's so funny because when I first got that done, everybody used to say, Brenda's got Scooby snack, a Scooby-Dooby booby. So every time he asks me, I'm like, of course I did. It's kind of attached to me. So that's where that comes from.
I have a Scooby-Doo dog.
Yep.
Who loves Scooby snacks and is scared of everything. Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to say, when I grew up, I wanted to get a Great Dane. And I finally did. I own 2 of them. Of course, one was deaf and one was blind, but they were special, but they were still Great Danes nevertheless. But yeah, and I had drawn the Scooby-Doo that I have on me. I had drawn it for the guy who did the tattoo. When I lived in Tennessee, I used to work for a tattoo artist as a side job after my other job, because my ex-husband had gone to MEPS and I was going crazy staying home with his mom. So I worked a second job and I had to do it at night because I was general manager of a food restaurant out there. So it was a neat experience for me. I got a lot of tattoos done for free because I used to let their apprentice practice on me. And I met Kid Rock there. I met Kid Rock there. Him and his band were playing in Nashville, and they had called because they wanted to book a tattoo session for, I think it was his drummer. So we had closed the shop down early to get everybody out before they came in. And I played pool with Kid Rock. He's crazy. He's a nice guy, but he is something else. He's something else.
That's awesome.
But yeah, and I had a lot of fun. So, but I had drawn the Scooby-Doo that I have on me, and I gave it to the apprentice to go ahead and tattoo him on me. And they'd already done my neck behind both of my ears, and everything else, my wrists. So I didn't really have a whole lot of places left. So I'm like, well, let's see how you handle lady parts. So I volunteered. But yeah, that's where Jesse always does that with the Scooby snacks. So it's kind of funny. Did you bring your Scooby snacks, Brenda? Of course you did. They're attached to me. But yeah, I wasn't expecting even Abe, because I think I talked to you earlier last night and I told you that I guess Abe was taking another night off. And I had no sooner laid down and my phone's notification went off and I went, what is that? And I looked and, oh, there he is. So I got up and got back in my chair and I messaged you to say, are you still awake? Because I was going to let you know Abe's on.
Yeah, I didn't even see that message. And then I ended up sending you a reel after that. And then I went on my YouTube and I saw that they were on and you were on. And I'm like, oh, cool. All right.
Yeah. So I went, because he was by himself for a while and he was talking about the sleep study and how some bad things happened to him when he went there to go do the sleep study test. And he's not been right since. He's kind of off. So I told him, I said, yeah, my doctor said that they want me to do that, but they want mine done at Scott and White. My doctor won't let me go have it done at the sleep study clinic. My doctor wants it at the hospital.
They said they tried to kill him. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't even do that if I were you, Brenda. They're trying to like, what do they need
Well,
a sleep study for you? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Because Jack gets worried because he will walk in here and look at me and I won't breathe when I'm sleeping. But like I tried to tell him, I leave when I'm asleep. I don't stay in my body. I go all over the place.
Well, like my dad has the sleep apnea thing. My dad has been like, he's a loud snorer, and then I've heard him stop breathing at times. So
I don't do that.
Well,
but
yeah, and if you know you do that, you sure don't need to be in a study.
But I will I know, right? But I will tell you this. If I stop breathing for too long, my dog wakes me up. That's why every 3 to 4 hours, he stands on my chest and literally Putin does this and he steps all over me and he'll stick his paw in my mouth and grab my lip. And when he does that, it wakes me up. And, or if my sugar is too low while I'm sleeping, he wakes me up. He knows, he can feel that stuff. So, but I had told them I will not do a sleep study if I cannot have my dog with me, because for 2 years I sleep with him. He's draped over my arm, his butt's on the pillow, and he lays over my arm and his head is down here on the left side of me listening to my heart. And I go to sleep with him up against me and I listen to his.
What I don't get about those? They try to have a sleep study in an environment where like you're not comfortable in. How do they expect to get a proper diagnosis in the first place?
If Abe would have said, my dog has to be with me, they would have given him the stuff to take home to do the study at home.
Really?
Because that's what they said they can do with me. They'll give me the stuff where I can do the sleep study at home, where I could have the dog. And I can take the machine, because they give you a machine and that tells you where to hook the things up to. They give you something to relax and go to sleep. The machine will run while you're sleeping. And then in the morning when you get up, you turn it off and you take it in and you give it back to them. So he could have done it at home had he has said, I have a service dog and he goes with me.
But he wasn't aware of that, probably.
Probably not.
They just said, like, do this. And since it's the VA, he gave them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, like, they walked into his room and he was, like, waking up and they said something went wrong. But, like, they were, like, adjusting his mask. It was, like, they said the mask fell off, but he never experienced that.
Yeah.
Some real shady stuff.
Texas, I astral travel when I'm asleep. And sometimes I go finish Suzy's dreams for her when she astral travels and has problems. I have run into Penny with 4 other witches in an astral travel. And there was a guy there, but his back was to me, so I couldn't see who it was. So somewhere in her little roundabout of covenant, she has 3 other women and a guy. And I have run into her there. And she didn't notice me. And she approached me. And I whooped her butt and left her sitting there. Told her to leave me alone. Suzy does the same thing. So, yeah. It's I've gone and visited some of my family.
Sorry.
I know, take that 11. Here, 11 times for you. But I've actually gone and traveled some of my family that's in other states and seen different things that they've been doing. So, yeah. And I'm not sure if you still breathe while you are astral traveling, but apparently I don't. And Jack was scared to death. He walked in here and he seen I wasn't breathing and he stood there and he watched me and he watched me and he watched me and I wasn't breathing and he was thinking, oh my God, I got to call 911. And all of a sudden I took a deep breath and then I woke up. So, yeah, I leave. I go visiting places. If I'm not turning blue yet, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I'll be back. That's the way I look at it. I'll be back. If my lips start turning blue, then you might want to worry.
I'm on a mission.
Yep, I'm on a mission. I'm gonna go conquer a mission here. Yep. But all right, everybody. Well, we're gonna go. I need to still do my uploads, and my foot's starting to hurt pretty good, so I gotta take my medicine. And my life, it's so great. I love it, though. I love life. I do. I am faced with many challenges, but I take them head on. It's all right.
I have one thing to say. I love life, but I think whoever is controlling the thermostat up there needs to get fired because they're doing a really shitty job.
Yes. You know, I was telling Susie and Steve just before we started the show, I was going through my Facebook.
Thank you, Jason.
And there was a guy who said he let the 5th grade class draw his weather report for him, right? So I explained to them, and it looks like a 5th grader drew this. And it is a picture. He drew a picture of the devil with a pitchfork. And it was bent over, and coming out of its behind were flames on a town. And I said, it's about right.
Is that the guy running the thermostat up there?
Must be.
He has a pitchfork.
I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh my God, that was just like the cutest thing of a 5th grader. I'm just going to draw the devil.
Oh
and he is pooping hot stuff all over us. It's just too hot.
Yeah.
But anyways, all right, guys. Well, I think that we're all going to cut out. And I guess, Steve, now we get to figure out how the streams end on both ends.
Yeah, I'll have to just stop screen sharing once the outro goes. So thank you all for being here too. Those of you who are watching on my channel, thank you. But I know a lot of you that watch both of us are on Brenda's chat tonight, which is totally fine with me. I just wanted us to get this out there. So I thank you all for being here and watching and listening.
It's a family.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
And everybody, you have a good rest of the weekend. Stay safe out there. Make sure you like the stream, guys, please. And like always, everybody, please be kind to one another. Have a good night.